Most bankers aren't ready to help you until after their third cup of coffee. But with Central National Bank's after-hours service, you don't have to wait for the bank lobby to open to get help. You can contact us from 6 to 8:30 in the morning or from 5 to 10 in the evening, and we'll connect you to a real, live, local person who can answer questions and fix problems 7 days a week. Bank different. Bank Central. Central National Bank. Member FDIC.
Boy, trash fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas. The trailer park is nice and dark, deep in the heart of Texas. That drinks his brew and he spits his chew, deep in the heart of Texas. The TV blares, but no one cares, deep in the heart of Texas. Here we go!
Hey everybody, welcome to Bois, King of the Hill podcast. I am Mike.
And I'm Rusty.
Rusty, Season 3, Episode 19, Hank's Cowboy Movie.
Yeah, welcome back, guys, to another great episode of Bois.
I couldn't remember whether this was Hank making a movie that was a Western or if it was about the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
I mean, it reveals itself pretty quickly, but...
Yeah, just based on the title, I really couldn't remember what the whole show was about at all. And this is one of those episodes that's an early one, so I really like the first 3-4 seasons are my bread and butter of like what I've watched the most of. And this is one episode that I completely forgot about until I rewatched it, of course. But I completely forgot that this episode even existed.
Me too, honestly. I think it was just kind of I don't know. There's so many big episodes like in the future here, coming up, that this one wasn't one that just totally stood out for me for some reason.
I'm jumping the gun a little bit. My favorite part, I guess, about this particular episode is the reflection, or the how do you say it? The introspect, how they kind of explore Bobby growing up and leaving the house, kind of thing.
Sure.
Which hopefully we'll all get to see the result of soon with the new reboot.
Oh yeah, he's stuck in Arlen, I promise you.
Well, I hope he's not, for the sake of for the sake of Bobby Hill.
Come on, man.
I hope that he I just, I really have illusions of grandeur for him. I really hope that he is propelled into the prop comedy like he wants to be. I hope that he gets to, open for Carrot Top at the Las Vegas, wherever Carrot Top's residence is.
I think he's doing open mics in Wichita Falls.
Yeah, I think he's in Austin.
If it's a revival in the modern era, Carrot Top's nobody.
That's true.
These days,
Joe Rogan.
Carrot Top, it'd be Joe Rogan. I would love to see him in Austin doing stand up at one of these, because comedy it's no longer L.A.
Right.
It's Austin.
I think if he's
Austin is the stand up comedy center of the United States at the
Rogan
moment.
opening the club and all that stuff there.
Does Hank Hill
that and what he's got is it's kind of weird for Joe
Rogan.
Rogan.
Comedy podcast there too. Though.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, they do Kill Tony, the comedy podcast. They're doing a second episode a week because he already does one, so he's going to start doing a second one at Joe's place.
Yeah,
but
Joe's place.
Yeah, Joe's place. It's actually called the Comedy Mothership.
He goes all the time. Joe's place.
The Ritz Hotel. Yeah,
Quick.
Joe's place.
Does Hank Hill listen to the Joe Rogan Experience?
No.
I'm still hoping that Hank's dead.
I think Hank Hill was listening to Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think Hank
or Bill Maher.
I think Hank thinks both sides are crazy. I think he just thinks, there's no room for this kind of discourse.
Actually, Hank doesn't listen to podcasts. He still only listens to radio.
AM radio.
Never
AM radio.
uses
ESPN.
Never
AM
bothered
radio.
to learn what an aux cord is.
Yeah, I honestly don't think he listens to anything but sports AM radio. He doesn't listen to politics. He just listens to sports.
Then does he like Stephen A. Smith?
I think he probably also listens to that stuff that comes on Saturday, like the handyman stuff and how to fix your car and those kind of shows that come on AM radio. generally NPR type stuff.
No, that's an episode for Mike Judge or anybody writers. If you ever listen to this, you are allowed to use this idea.
That's right.
Hank, you are allowed. Hank Hill, Bobby opens Hank's world to the world of podcasts.
Oh.
But he hates most of them, but he finds one about propane. The one dude, and he just becomes obsessed with it.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good.
That
I like
or
that.
a one about grilling or something Hank would like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe he like any drug, he has an introduction to it, like with something really plain and simple, and then he starts kind of looking or something, and then he ends up with the propane thing, or ends up starting a propane podcast from Strickland.
A propane podcast.
Yeah.
What in the Chat GPT? That's a Friday episode.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
actually that is going to be our.
What's a propane podcast?
What does a propane podcast look like?
Let Chat name it, the whole thing. Premise.
Yeah. I think we'll do that.
Give us hosts.
You know, it's also a fun Friday. We should do this for a Friday, just because we could keep going now. We need to just go. What in 2023 does Hank Hill like? And
Write that down so I don't forget it.
I am writing it
okay,
down
you jotted
right
it down.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's really
Our producers
awesome.
are taking
Yeah.
notes for us. We love it. So before we go ahead and dive into the episode, I want to go ahead and shout out our podcast stuff, all of our links and stuff. So you could find us at Linktree, linktr.ee/BWAAAKOTH. That'll take you to all of our links. I know I've said 100 times that me and Mike are going to update the music. We'll get that sorted out as soon as possible. We all have had a lot of stuff going on with other things in life and still maintaining great content for you guys. Also, I want to give a shout out. Right before we came and sat down and recorded, there was a podcast that they're coming back from a little hiatus. They're called
Stories of the Streets.
Stories of the Streets. And
Davey R. and Jasmine.
Yeah, so give them a follow on Instagram. You can find their Instagram at Stories of the Street _ and you could also find
also gives you a chance to go listen to their back catalog, because this is the start of season 3 for them.
Oh wow, season 3.
Yeah,
okay.
you could listen to the first 2 seasons or selectively listen to whatever you need to, because honestly, it's a primarily African American podcast that focuses on those type issues, and the first 2 seasons were around whenever we went through the George Floyd thing and the whole thing.
Oh,
so it's a little bit of a history lesson plus an ally type thing, where you can listen and understand what more people in the world think.
Yeah, that's great. So please go over and check them out. You can also go to Rogue Media Network to find a bunch of great other podcasts. You can find their stuff on Rogue Media Network too. If you need a simpler place to find it, it's all there, and it's all alphabetized, nice and neat for you. So
there's a search.
There you go. Yeah, there's a search button.
The search is
feature.
dumb though. I need to AI the search.
We need to AI the search
because the search is fairly dumb. You have to spell it right and all that kind of stuff. It needs a little bit of an update.
It needs exacting. You have to have exact language for it to find it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. Either way, the exact language is.
Yeah.
Davey
R is with Blackscent. And Jasmine, I believe, was with Change Waco, and it may be the other way around.
Yeah.
But Jasmine used to be one of my students when I taught high school.
Oh, wow.
So a long time ago. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, now she's a mom.
Well, that's great. Well, that's great for you, though. Like you nurturing, because it's not the only person I've met that you've been educated prior, and they're all... It's
what
great.
What amazes me about it is they're still willing to be around me. So
that says more. That says more about you than them, I think. So
yeah. I enjoyed my time. I did.
Well, they enjoyed it too. Or they.
I really would like.
There's one teacher that I still contact.
I'm not still there, but
there's one teacher that I still talk to from 3rd grade. Yeah. So teachers, there's teachers out there that you make the difference, and the students that love you will. There was a teacher that I had that recently passed away.
Yeah.
He was a world history teacher, and he was a Hispanic guy, and he was all about college for everybody. If you wanted to go to his class and just him sit there and help you with whatever you needed for college entry and stuff.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
He would do any of it.
That's what I was going to say about my classes. I taught rockets, robots, art and
fun stuff.
business and programming and stuff,
Yeah,
right?
mostly fun stuff.
It is mostly fun stuff. It's stuff that kids want to be a part of, but it also became dumping ground for kids that didn't want to be a part of it, and so that's a little rough.
Yeah.
But
they've changed some of that now. So
Sure.
My kid, he's signing up for robotics, and there's like prereqs
oh yeah, sure.
that you have to
Yeah.
meet now. So it's
Yeah.
mostly geared. I mean, it's kind of I don't think it's fair, but it's kind of mostly geared towards the gifted and talented kids. That's the kind of mindset that they want people to
Right.
want to be a part of it. Like you said, a lot of those kind of programs. It was like that with woodshop when I was in school. It was just a dumping ground for athletes, really.
When I was at the high school, or one of the high schools I taught at, I was actually there when they removed the woodshop class, which was crazy.
Oh, I was nuts,
I
was in high school.
Those
They
kids
took
loved
away.
it. They loved it.
I was there when they stripped home economics. They stripped home ec. They stripped choir. They eliminated all the choir classes and all the home ec classes within 2 years.
It's because of the money that comes through testing. But let's end that there because I will get on a firm soapbox about that kind of stuff. So
You can bring
So
that
here we
back
go.
up in 7 weeks.
Yeah, there
that's
you go.
right.
7
There you go.
weeks.
All right, so we are at season 3, episode 9. Like we said, Hank's Cowboy movie. We begin on the road with Hank and Bobby. They are driving to what we find is Wichita Falls.
Yeah, and they're standing at what I think is a Texas institution.
The rest area?
The big, huge.
Yeah.
I've been to rest areas in other states.
They're not the
and
same.
none of them are the same as a Texas rest stop, and they're just massive.
Texas rest
so-
areas, I would say, probably 20 years ago, took a huge leap in quality.
It's
Like
insane.
I'm thinking of the one that I always see on the way back from Austin, and there's like this, there's like a paddle wheel in it, with the lake and the whole. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah, it's very designed.
It used to just be a thing with horrible bathrooms, but you would go in there and there'd be a bunch of pamphlets about the stuff you could do in the state, and that was it.
Yeah, that's
There
all.
really wasn't anybody working there. Or
Well, that's all the money that they take away from the schools just to make sure that they have great rest areas for truck drivers.
You got to stop bringing up schools. So they have pulled over to one of these fine Texas rest areas. Bobby is wearing his Troy Aikman jersey, who was the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys at this time. What year are we looking at? 99?
We're in 99. At this point, the Dallas Cowboys have not won a Super Bowl since 1996. They weren't even that good at this point. Barry Switzer had already taken over.
Well, he won a Super Bowl with them this first year.
He won a Super Bowl with
Because
Jimmy Johnson's team.
He just took Jimmy Johnson's
Yeah,
team
he
and didn't
won a
do
Super
anything.
Bowl with
Yeah.
the exact same team that went
So this
before.
was after they had won their last one in 96, I guess.
They hadn't been that good for a while and haven't been good since. Just saying.
I actually,
Well, again,
we might do
as-
a giveaway. I actually have 2 VHS tapes of the Dallas Cowboys Super Bowls.
Ooh.
The promotional, tapes that the Cowboys put out after the
that's
Super
cool.
Bowl wins.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So we might do a giveaway
Yeah,
on that. If anybody's interested in a giveaway on that, just DM us and let us know.
I would also like to say that I don't feel bad for any Dallas Cowboys fans. My entire family, including my wife, is a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Okay,
I grew
I'm
up a Houston Oilers fan, so now I am a Tennessee Titans fan. So I got it worse than all of
you're
you.
a
I
Titans
promise.
fan?
Yeah. See, that's the reaction you always get.
No, I have it worse
Well,
than
no.
both of you.
What's that?
I'm a Texans fan.
I'm a
Oh,
Texans fan
God.
too.
Yeah,
So
we
both
have it worse,
Yeah, we
Mike.
have it bad.
God
We have
bless
it
you,
bad,
sir.
Mike. We have it
Yeah.
bad.
I salute you in your misery.
Well, there's kind of a feud between Tennessee Titans and the Houston Texans too, because we want the Houston Oilers jerseys and stuff and the colors, but then we
guess
can't
what?
get the color schemes.
Guess
'cause
what?
Tennessee
Titans are going to
Titans
wear
wins.
them this season.
Yeah.
They're going to wear the actual Houston Oilers ones.
Yeah, they might win. They might.
still gotta-
might change the culture.
I still have a little oil derrick tattooed on the side of my foot. Okay, so they have pulled over. Bobby's in this Aikman jersey. He's pointing at a map, and he says, "Dad, only 2 more inches to Wichita Falls." Hank comes over and actually measures it with his pocket
Measures it with a
measuring tape
ruler,
and goes, 2 1/4, Bobby. Good eye, son. We see a guy come up. He's in an orange shirt, green shorts with a backpack, and he's obviously just coming through Texas. He says, "Hey, what's the best way to get to Corpus Christi?" Of course, Hank has all of the information. Well, the quickest straight down here, but the best way is to go through Arlen. It's one of George Bush's communities of excellence.
Communities of excellence. So you got some information on
No,
us for
I
this,
don't.
You don't.
That's the thing. I looked for it.
And there's nothing.
And there's really not much out there. Now, there is awards of excellence, but I don't know about communities of excellence. I don't remember that being a thing, but I can see it after Reagan with his shining city on a hill kind of thing, kind of trickling down to Bush.
Well, yeah. Well, there is those. I've never participated in or never seen it in my neighborhood, but I know that in some neighborhoods they have kind of like awards.
Sure. Yeah.
For like specific neighborhoods or specific houses in the neighborhood.
That's generally like city council stuff.
City council stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the guy asks, he says, well, you go through Arlen. It's one of the communities of excellence. The guy goes, Arlen, huh? Is that where you're headed? He goes, no, sir. We're on our way to Wichita Falls. And Bobby pipes up and says, we're going to see the training camp of the Dallas Cowboys. They used to be in Austin till, well, And I'm not real sure what Bobby's referring to other than the fact that Austin got weird, and just started kind of becoming this hippie.
I thought Austin had been like a hippie haven for at this point for like decades.
It had, but it got weirder when all the tech stuff started moving in because it just started expanding and growing so big, and then you had the hippie mentality also.
And now that's gone completely. It's corporate. Austin doesn't feel the same way as it did.
Austin's weird. It is an odd place.
It's definitely way more corporate feeling now.
I don't enjoy it as much as I used to.
Yeah, the yuppies took over.
He says, we're going to go see the training camp of the Dallas Cowboys. It used to be in Austin till, and he goes, but like my dad says, Cowboys will be Cowboys.
I say that in private, son.
He says I say it in private, son, which I don't know. I don't even know what that means.
It was funny, though. It was a good joke.
Just real quick, before we get to the credits, going over these Dallas Cowboy training camp locations. They started in 1960. That
was when they completely started the entire Dallas Cowboys started in 1960. Right. Okay.
And they started in Forest Grove, Oregon, is where they trained.
So they would fly from DFW.
Well, I'm assuming
Oregon.
in 1960 they probably took a bus all the way there.
Yeah,
because there's no way they had money at that point.
No, there's no way they did.
So also in 1960, and I'm assuming this is the next year, or maybe they split time, they moved to Delafield, Wisconsin. It's just such random location.
I think what it is the way I'm visualizing this is training camp is during a hot. During hotter
Hey, I am
parts.
so sorry if anybody hears me slurping, by the way. It was a long, long night, and I'm drinking lots of coffee.
Was it good coffee?
It is good coffee, yeah.
What kind of coffee is it?
I don't know, the blue kind.
Oh,
I don't know.
Community
It came out of the thing over here. So
okay. He just random coffee here.
Yeah.
Could have been ranch.
It is. It's ranch flavored coffee.
Ranch dressing.
1961, they went to St. Olaf College in Northfield, Minnesota.
Well, see that confirms my suspicion. They're going to cold places during the summertime for mild summers.
Yeah.
St. Olaf is a real place.
St. Olaf is a real place.
It is a real place. Yes, Minnesota, Northern Canada, or Southern Canada.
Poor Mason. That's the sound of his mind blowing.
Well, no, it's just, I don't know if you know St. Olaf. That's where Rose.
From
Rose
Golden Girls.
Girls, and I had no idea that was a real. I thought it was just made up.
St. Olaf,
that's where she's
Minnesota.
from. She's from
Minnesota.
St. Olaf, Minnesota.
Yeah. 1962, they went to Northern Michigan University in Marquette, Michigan.
Okay.
63. Now they laid some roots down here. 63 through 89. So long time. They were at California Lutheran College in Thousand Oaks, California. That's what I always remember.
Yeah.
Right.
They're dodging weather is what they're doing.
Right.
They're dodging the extreme Texas heat.
However, in 1990 through 1997, they moved to St. Edward's University in Austin, Texas. So this follows that timeline.
Yeah, so they were. What was the dates on that again?
90 to 97.
Yeah, that follows it.
And then 98 to 2001, they literally were at Midwestern State University in Wichita Falls.
Okay, so even though this episode was released in '99, the time frame that we're in is. Oh, it could be.
It's 99.
It's 99.
Yeah, it's right.
Yeah, you're right.
It's absolutely right.
So they're still in Wichita Falls today, then?
No. 2001, Oxnard, California. 2002,
That's
San
the one I
Antonio.
know. That's the one I know is Oxnard, California, and then to the Alamo Dome, and then to.
Well, they went back to Oxnard. In 2004 through 2006. 2007, they went back to San Antonio, played at the Alamo Dome.
Okay.
In 2008 through 2010, they were in Oxnard again. 2009 to 11, they were in San Antonio again.
Yeah, they bounced back and forth between those two.
12 to 19, they were in Oxnard again. 2020. They moved to Frisco. They've built their own training facility.
Their own multi-hundred millions of dollars.
They built that, But then in 2021, they went back to River Ridge Playing Fields in Oxnard, California.
They like California. That's definitely one of the that's probably the most that's probably the longest place they've been in the modern era.
Well,
is California.
it's very middle of the road weather. Lots of sun, but not super hot and all that.
It's mild in the summer.
During the summer.
Yeah, it's mild in the summer. So
that's what I've got for Cowboys training camp locations.
All right.
Okay, and then I've made a note to update the Spotify playlist. All right, so he says, I say that in private, son, and we go right to the credits. We got no bell, no yell, but now we are at the stands in Wichita Falls, the football field, which this is Midwestern State University in Wichita Falls, and everybody is just kind of watching these guys. I used to go to the Houston Oilers training camp.
Okay.
They were in... I want to say it was around Austin, San Antonio, somewhere around there. But we used to go, and I'd get a lot of autographs and things like that. This was during the Warren Moon time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, he was great. He's one of the top greats.
Yeah, I've still got a hat and a helmet.
Was it Herschel Walker too?
No, Herschel Walker was Dallas. I'm talking Houston Oilers.
Oh, Houston Oilers.
Warren Moon. Yeah. But those are some good teams.
Wasn't he in Donald Trump's league? Or something, and they did like a trade for him, Herschel Walker?
Herschel Walker, yes.
Yeah. He was part
with
of USFL
the Houston Gamblers. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he went to Minnesota. And then
because it was a huge trade.
He went to Dallas. He went to Dallas, and then Dallas traded him to Minnesota
for Troy Aikman. And it was a big, huge trade where they got like Troy Aikman, Mike
for
Irving,
all these picks.
Yeah,
and then that's how the Dallas Cowboys were born on the back of Herschel Walker.
Yeah, they won the Super Bowl because they traded him for like.
Oh, there was tons of picks.
It was a huge trade. It was like a 3-team ordeal where they swapped a bunch of people around.
And Herschel Walker was a fantastic player. He just never landed on a really good team. He didn't have the supporting pieces around him. The thing
head damage.
Yeah. The thing I always remember about Herschel Walker is obviously had a lot of head damage because he was running in Georgia this last time.
Cranial.
But the thing I always remember about Herschel Walker is he was running so hard one time in a game that his shoe came off.
And he just kept going.
And his socks just flopping in the wind and stuff. I just remember thinking, holy crap.
Burning whoever's chasing him.
Yeah.
He's a fast guy.
He was a huge guy,
he was one of those athletes that I was surprised that he didn't have any kids that became athletes.
Yeah.
His son instead became a gay pundit for the Republican Party.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay, so the guy on the PA is talking to everybody in the stands and says, welcome to Wichita Falls, training camp of the former world champion Dallas Cowboy. They have to throw former in there.
They got to throw former, yeah.
How a president always gets called president, even after they leave.
Oh, yeah.
So
even when they're being indicted on Tuesday by the Manhattan DA. Yeah.
I think that's bullshit, by the way.
Well, he even said it, though. He himself.
That's what I'm saying. I think he's getting in front of it and making his own narrative. But
potentially.
Anyway.
It's going to be crazy.
Hey, guys, it's Mike from Bois. I wanted to remind you just real quick of our official, unofficial meeting place. That is Hotel Arlen. So head over to Twitter and look up at Hotel Arlen. They are not that kind of hotel anymore. Please leave a post, follow, like, subscribe, whatever they ask you to do on Twitter at this point. And if you wanted to, you could also include hashtag Hotel Arlen and hashtag BWAAKOTH. Thanks. Hank stands up in the stands and goes, yeah, way to go, Cowboys. He sits back down, and Bobby's right there with him. They both have clipboards, by the way. This is how dedicated they are to taking notes and doing all this stuff. Bobby says, Irvin's looking good this year, huh, Dad? And he's talking about Michael Irvin.
Yeah, Michael Irvin.
Who I think got a real bad job from the Cowboys, by the way. He is the only one from those Super Bowl teams that didn't get his number retired, like the big three.
Yeah, they didn't retire.
Aikman retired.
I think it's retired now, though.
No,
it's still not retired.
Aikman got his number retired. Emmitt Smith got his number retired. Irving never did because there's been two big number 88s after that that played for him. One of them was Des Bryant that came from Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that they didn't retire his number.
Yeah.
Well, I know he was great, but wasn't he only great for like that? I don't know much about that age of football.
He was clutch for them. He was clutch.
Real quick.
Yeah.
So with those notes they're taking.
Yeah. I don't know what the hell they're doing with them.
I imagine, do you think Hank has a special folder in his file cabinet just for these notes.
Oh, I don't doubt that. Yeah.
I think he records every stat at every game he watches.
Yeah.
I think he's at home watching the Dallas Cowboys. He's got his little TV tray. He's got a notepad. He's got a pen. He's got one of those what do they call it, sun visors, like just the cap, like you would see.
He's got the visor like you wear in a casino with the green part on the front of the green plastic.
He's got one of those visors. He's got the pencil. He's chewing
ready.
on the eraser. Yeah. He's writing all of his notes.
Well, and this is speaking from experience. The time that's probably the most stressful for Hank is when he leaves church on Sunday and has to make it home in time for the game.
Oh yeah,
That was always the most stressful time in our house.
Yeah, because you got to get there before kickoff.
If you're a Baptist or a Methodist or something like that, boy, you are making it home in time for that game.
Oh yeah, you probably would, because the pastor's probably got money on the game and he's ready to get out of there.
Oh, you got people checking their watch at 11:30.
Yeah, pastor's wrapping it up by 11:45, and everybody's skirting home as quick as they can.
The only relief is
what
when you
they
had
get
those,
for going to church.
The only relief you had were those 3:00 games.
That was it.
That was, and now they're like 3:30.
Yeah, and then church would go till 1:30 on the 3:00 games because the pastor knew that nobody was rushing to get home to the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, we're in a really weird time right now with sports. I'm very interested to see what happens with the NFL Sunday Ticket this year because it's moving over to YouTube TV.
I'm kind of interested too because
now with the Final Four this year, they instituted you can watch 4 games at once now.
Oh, the box.
And switch between.
Yeah.
So they're just getting ready for this NFL Sunday Ticket.
Yeah,
Plus they went up in price by $8.
Oh, the YouTube TV did?
Yeah, it's now $72.99 a month.
It's almost basic cable prices.
It is very equivalent to what when I start stacking all that stuff together, it's very equivalent to what I was paying when I had DirecTV.
Oh, shout out Tennessee Dad 22. What's up, buddy?
Tennessee Dad 22.
What is up, buddy?
Go Titans, even though they're a constant disappointment. Okay, so they're in the stands with their clipboards.
Yeah,
Bobby,
I like this part here. It's so funny to me that they're sitting there like, I'm giving him an A-, and then Bobby goes, well, I'm going to give him an B+. And he goes, gives him some room to improve.
That's right.
So it's such a funny joke.
Hank's
it's such
like,
a good joke.
Hank's, good idea, son. And then Bobby makes the mistake of saying, and I'm giving Troy Aikman a B+ too.
That's not funny, Bobby.
Hank immediately looks at him and just goes, that's not funny, Bobby.
Which,
Aikman
honestly,
was Jesus.
He was a good quarterback,
he was Jesus.
But he was only as good as the team around him, I think.
He was a damn good quarterback.
He was.
You talk about a great pocket passer. He could pass that packet like anything else.
But he's a top 30 or 40 quarterback in statistics. He's not that high up on the statistical record.
Mike, do you want to say that again?
Yeah, I heard myself.
No, I want you to say it again.
He passed that packet. Yeah, pass that packet, baby. Get ready for my new SoundCloud album coming out soon. Pass that packet. All right, so we are now after practice. Everybody has left except for Hank and Bobby. They're still standing on the field because this is the one time. Hank is one of those guys, I'm sure, that would not move down into better seats when people leave. I would imagine he's very much a rule follower. No, these are the seats we have, Bobby. This is where we're staying. This is where God intended us to be. But now they're down on the field. Bobby says, oh, Dad, look, they forgot one of their footballs. And there's a Wilson football underneath the bench. They both sneak over. I'm not sure why they're sneaking. Hank's like, shh, follow me. And they go over and they get the football. And then we get this very strange transition into this dramatic, like Rudy the movie lighting. So the sun's starting to go down, and there's like almost a light from heaven, shining down on them.
Yeah,
everything's very golden and all that.
Shout out to Wes Archer for the animation direction on this one for sure.
Hank just looks up at the lights and stuff. Sweet Jethro Pugh. And the one thing I did not do is I did not get you any facts on Jethro Pugh.
I got you.
Yeah, please do that.
Jethro Pugh played 14 years with the Dallas Cowboys. He
was definitely a fan favorite.
Yeah, he was born in the 40s, so
he played on those 70s teams with Roger Staubach, right?
Yeah, he played with the Cowboys' entire career. He's the fourth longest career in Cowboys history.
Oh, yeah.
So the only other players for the Cowboys that played longer than him was Ed Too Tall Jones, Bill Bates, and Mark Tenai.
Yeah.
So those are the only people that played longer than he did. So he played 14 full years with them. And
Too tall.
yeah, well, he was actually offered a contract to play with the Oakland Raiders, but he ended up turning that contract down and went to the Dallas Cowboys instead. He was 145th overall, 11th round pick.
Wow.
So he was a part of the 1967 championship game, which is considered the Ice Bowl at Green Bay. He was there for that one.
That's one they tell you about every damn year.
Every year they mention that one. So, yeah, he did that. He also he got to play against, like, coaches like Vince Lombardi.
Oh, sure.
And stuff like that. So, he was there for, like, a really great part of football. But the most interesting thing about him is after football, he owned a number of Western-themed gift shops in the DFW airport.
That's cool.
He also hosted an annual Jethro Pugh, or how do you say his last name, celebrity golf tournament in Dallas for the United Negro College Fund. And he died in 2015 at the age of 70 in Dallas, Texas.
Wow, only 70. That's crazy.
He lived in Dallas his whole. Once he signed with them, he was there.
Well, it's like Roger Staubach. Whenever he quit, he or retired, he went into like real estate. You'll see Roger Staubach real estate all over the place.
He was actually at a point where NFL didn't cover the official NFL statistic for QB sacks, and his unofficial credit is over 95.5 sacks in his entire career, which is a huge amount.
That's a lot of
like if you went back and recorded those statistics, whoever the sack leader is now probably wouldn't be the sack leader.
It's like Reggie White, that kind of thing. I mean, it's about that same time.
Yeah, he averaged,
you're good.
In one stretch of his career from 68 to 72, he averaged 12.5 sacks a season.
Wow.
Which is,
That's
at
great.
that time, was crazy.
No, it's wonderful numbers, yeah. It's still great numbers. I'd take a guy that could get 12 sacks a year.
Yeah. Well, he's 6th on the Cowboys' all-time sacks list with those 95.5. So
we got this dramatic lighting. They're both gonna play some football now, Bobby and Hank. He goes, Hank's got the ball. He goes, the Super Bowl has come down to one play. 4th down. Aikman drop backs to pass. Irvin heads for the goal line.
That's you, Bobby.
Bobby, that's you.
Yeah.
And so Bobby finally takes off to the goal line.
Oh,
he
okay.
throws it. Yeah, he throws it, and he goes, Troy's under pressure. He scrambles around a little bit. He goes, then he fires to the end zone and hits Michael Irvin for a touchdown, and the ball just goes tunk. It's Bobby right in the head.
Right in his
He drops it. He goes, dang. I just love when Bobby is like defeated by something. Dang.
I just don't understand what Hank Hill was thinking throwing the football to Bobby.
It's eternal optimism, man.
Yeah,
it's eternal
I
optimism.
guess so.
He goes, hold on a minute. Pass interference. Cowboys retain possession. Bobby says, and they run out the clock, which makes no damn sense.
Not at all.
And Hank's like, turns out they were ahead all along. And Bobby says, the Cowboys win the Super Bowl. And they're both just jumping around. Cowboys win the Super Bowl. They're dancing on the field. You very rarely see Hank dance. And then a security guard walks up behind him and goes, well, hooray. Where are you guys from? Because, they don't realize anybody else is even around.
Yeah, nah, they're just kind of oblivious, living in their moment.
He says, Arlen, Texas. The guy goes, oh, Pigtown.
Town.
You a pig farmer? Which I've never heard that about Arlen so far. I didn't know any of these facts.
I didn't know any of it either. No.
He goes, I think you're confused, sir. We don't raise pigs in Arlen, Texas. We process them. He goes, oh, yeah. You folks make them tiny breakfast wieners, but you're going to have to leave now. So I love that deadpan, just, oh, you make them wieners. Bye. Get out of here.
Yeah,
that kind of.
Oh, y'all make them breakfast wieners. Time for you to leave.
All right, we are now at the Dairy Queen because who doesn't want to stop at the Dairy Queen after going to the Cowboys training camp in Wichita Falls?
You got to stop at the Dairy Queen.
That's what we like about Texas.
That's what I like about
Texas.
Dairy Queen sponsors. So we see the guy behind the counter. He pours a Blizzard and then he flips it all fancy like
that's what they do.
Cocktail.
Whenever you buy a Blizzard, they flip it upside down to show you how cold it is, that it won't fall. It's so cold and adheres to the cup so well that it doesn't fall out.
Well, while we're doing that, let me give you a little bit of Blizzard history here.
Here we go.
The Blizzard was invented by a franchise owner. The idea for the now iconic Blizzard came from the Dairy Queen franchise in Missouri. Samuel Temperado, something like that, who owned a whopping 67 DQ locations. 67.
That's a lot of Dairy Queens.
Came up with the concept after seeing a competitor's ice cream shop selling frozen custard.
Respect the grind.
Hey, you're not kidding.
Yeah.
The Oreo Blizzard is the most popular. Oreo Blizzard has been a menu staple since its treat's invention, and it remains the most popular flavor today in the U.S. anyway. In Asia, the top spot goes to the Green Tea Blizzard, which isn't available in the U.S.
Wow.
And I had no idea there were Dairy Queens not in the U.S. either.
I had no clue that Dairy Queen was international.
So as far as turning it upside down, the upside down test can score you a free Blizzard. At many DQ stores, employees flip every Blizzard upside down before serving to prove the treat is thick enough. And at certain locations, you can get your Blizzard for free if they skip this key step. However, this policy is up to the franchise owner, so you'll have to ask your local store.
Also, it really won't matter because usually they make you pay first before they do the damn test.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, I asked for the test first.
When I was a kid,
at participating Dairy Queens.
When I was a kid, there was a Dairy Queen right around the corner from my house, and we would ride our bikes up there. And I remember when the let's see, when did they say it was invented? I don't guess they said. I remember when the Blizzards first came out, and the Dairy Queen up by my house refused to do it because it wouldn't stay. It was too humid and hot.
Yeah,
So-
actually, the restaurant that my uncle owned for
Yeah.
a lot of years, he started in 1965 with his business in an old Dairy Queen. It is actually one of the oldest walk-in refrigerators in that's still like usable in Waco.
Wow.
Because it was like I said, it was a Dairy Queen first,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
he had that same nothing changed from 1965 until he shut down in 2020.
I have very good memories and very good thoughts about Dairy Queen. When I
like
eat
Dairy
there
Queen.
now, it's a little disappointing because it's not as good as it was, and it's very expensive for a fast food place.
It is one of the higher end fast food prices.
But I can remember steak fingers,
They're, steak
tacos.
fingers, yeah.
I always liked their tacos,
They still
which is
have 'em.
crazy.
They still have 'em on the menu. Yeah, they're good.
But their steak fingers were great. Their tacos were good.
I like the Conies.
And then I've never had a coney
Yeah, I
from
love
a
their
Dairy
foot long
Queen.
chili cheese. They're better than Sonic's.
Sonic's,
Whatever
yeah.
hot dog they use is better than
Yeah.
the pink slime.
All beef. And then the frozen banana, chocolate covered frozen banana on a stick.
Oh, those are good. I've never
And-
had one, but
And then of
from
course
what I hear, anyway.
a dilly
the
bar.
dilly bars.
Dilly bar.
Yeah, I like the dilly bar.
Yep, dilly
The
bars
dip
were
cone
great.
too. I like a dip cone.
Dip cones are good. Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan, but
I like
was-
watching them do the process and then
Yeah,
watching
yeah,
the chocolate
sure,
harden
sure.
when they hand it to
I like
you
how
and
they
everything.
curl it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I like
There's a little
that
thing
too.
on YouTube you can watch about the curl. In Wichita Falls, there is a Dairy Queen. It is at 3112 Kemp Boulevard in Wichita Falls. Their hours are 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., by the way, just in case
That's
you want to go
Wichita
there.
Falls hours for you folks. 10
That's
a.m.
right.
to 10
That
p.m.
is Central Standard Time, the way the Lord intended. All right, so he passes it, he falls, all that stuff. They end up going to the Dairy Queen. The guy flips the Blizzard. Bobby says, "Wow, did you see that, Dad? He added an extra move when he gave me the Blizzard. Like an extra little twirl. They don't do that in Arlen. Wichita Falls is the greatest place I've ever been in my life."
He loves Wichita Falls.
Well, I mean, how many places you been, Bobby? You hadn't been to a
Yeah.
whole lot. The Dairy
Have you ever been to Wichita Falls? Just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
be in Wichita Falls?
Yeah.
I've driven through it, but I've never been to.
Yeah, I used to have to drive through Wichita Falls a lot. I don't even remember why.
It's like
to be honest with you.
the first leg of a drive to because I drove to Colorado in 2019 and I had my smart car at the time and I had to stop for gas every 3 hours because the tank wasn't big enough.
Oh wow.
But I mean, it was
not
cheap.
very smart.
It was cheap to fill up. It was like $20. I paid $80 to get to Colorado.
Yeah.
But that was one of the places where I had to stop. That was like 3 hours into your drive from where we're at.
Yeah, Wichita
That's why
Falls
when they
is a
say
weird
six.
place.
That's why when they say they're 6 hours from Wichita Falls, it's kind of weird because we're 3.5 hours from Wichita Falls.
Well, I have a challenge here for our listeners in a second, and this may help triangulate where Arlen is.
Okay.
So I couldn't find anything on just a cursory search, but the only thing that came back for me was the part that's in the show. But I want to mention it to people and see if anybody can come up with anything. So the Dairy Queen worker says that'd be $1.09. He goes, "What? In Arlen, they're 99 cents. It's 10 cents, Hank."
10
It's a dime,
cents.
dude.
Doesn't matter.
Even in
though.
my life, a dime hadn't been much.
Oh, it don't matter, Hank Hill. A dime is everything to Hank Hill.
Bobby
In
says
his lifetime, a dime was worth something.
He got that stinginess from Cotton.
that's true. That's true. Bobby pops up and says, "In Arlen, it's not the official blended frozen dairy product of the Dallas Cowboys training camp." What a long ass thing to say. and by the way, it's not ice cream. It's a
it's not
blended
ice cream.
frozen dairy product.
It is a blended frozen dairy product, yes. It's not ice cream.
All right, so we are in the truck headed home now, or we think they're headed home. It's what I thought when I wrote this down. And Hank is over there going, da, 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 Stampede, go, you Dallas Cowboys, go. And Bobby says, hey, Dad, look. And he flips the stupid blizzard, and it goes all over the place. And Bobby is just blown out with blizzard, pink blizzard for some reason, all over him. Now, there is a song that Hank was playing, or he was humming, that I would like to play for you now. This is the Dallas Cowboys anthem. I'm assuming this was in the 60s because this sounds very much like the Houston Oilers one that they put out about the same time.
This is Don Meredith of the Dallas Cowboys. Go, Dallas Cowboys.
Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom.
Which is like the fight song.
Yeah, yeah.
Never heard it.
A lot of teams back in that era had fight songs.
That
Isn't that
was-
crazy?
They still had bands and stuff for NFL teams at one point, didn't
Yeah, they were treated a lot like college teams.
they? I missed that.
Yeah,
I
me
was
too.
never there for it, but I missed it.
Cheerleaders. Where the hell are the cheerleaders?
Yeah, you don't see them unless you're present.
Here we go. They would play this part in the stands and get fans to like chant along.
Yeah.
The Oilers one was called Love You Blue.
Now they play the greatest hits from the 2000s.
That's right. A lot of
I think it's every
Backstreet Boys.
stadium. I think it's every stadium. Yeah.
Thong song. Things like that.
Yeah, just cheesy number one hits. Yeah.
Flo Rida's entire catalog.
Yeah, apple bottom jeans, boots with the fur.
Apparently, I picked the instrumental version here, but there are words to it where they start talking about "Go Cowboys Go" and things like that. So I will spare you more of that. Stampede, go, you Dallas Cowboys, go, and we hear it at the end of the episode. He goes, "Hey, Dad, look!" He flips the blizzard. It goes all over him. So now we are still driving through Wichita Falls, and number one, Bobby is very uncomfortable because he's so wet and sticky at this point, right?
Yeah,
it's
well,
crazy
that's
to
the
me
thing
that Hank
is
didn't pull over and clean out his
That's
truck.
a crazy joke, though. That's
Yeah.
a really funny joke that he goes, "Watch this, Dad," and he goes to do the tip thing, and he just, dumps
just gets
it
all over the place.
himself. Yeah.
Hank's driving through, and we see him pass by a couple of places. One of them is Tony's Italian restaurant, and then Bobby's really squirming around in that seat because of the blizzard. You hear Hank say, "Well, I'll be dipped," which is a fantastic old phrase.
Oh, I love it. Yeah,
I'll be
I love
dipped.
it. That's not one I'm very familiar with.
No, but I've heard it a few times. So they pull into the parking lot of JJ's Propane, the official propane supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. And I did print out one thing about propane in Wichita Falls. Number one, there is no real propane supplier to the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know if there ever was. I kind of doubt it. But
There's probably not. It's like those things where you're like adjacent to the Cowboys, or you're like, say, like a company in Arlington or something like that, saying, "Oh yeah, Tony Dorsett used to stop here and get gas. We're the official gas station of Tony Dorsett." That kind of thing. I feel like that's what that is more so than an official, like, "Oh, we're the official." You know what I mean? It's just,
Well, it
it's
used
just
to
words.
be that, like, now Pepsi is the official drink, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they
So
sponsor everything. Papa
yeah.
John's got booted out.
Yeah,
He was the
well,
official pizza of the NFL until
probably
he,
needed to, yeah.
until
Well,
the racial tirade.
They only like Pepsi because the Cowboys and Cowboys fans don't have taste.
Well, that's the funny thing about
Their
the
taste buds have been
Fight
seared
me.
off.
Well, that's the funny thing about the Papa John's pizza thing is, like, 40 years before, he probably would have been, like, awarded and
Yeah.
got an even bigger contract.
True. Yeah. So propane in Wichita Falls. There are 6 locations in Wichita Falls that you can get propane. Kelly Propane and Fuel, Haygood, H-A-I-G-O-O-D, and Campbell, LLC. Propane refill at U-Haul. The Gulf gas station. You can always go by the Gulf.
The Gulf. Okay.
Garden Center at the Home Depot, which wasn't around at this time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And then Acadia Oil Company. That's where you can get your propane when you're in beautiful downtown Wichita Falls.
Riveting, Mike. Riveting.
Thank you so much. I try. No real propane supplier. J&J's Propane is a propane and propane's accessory supplier located in Wichita Falls. It is a father and son business owned and run by Jeff and Jeff Jr. It is also the official propane supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Can you do me one favor, real
quick?
quick?
As many favors as you need.
Can you look up the guys who ran that, and I think they're on the show later, the guys that ran that father and son motorcycle glow-up thing that used to be on.
Oh, you're talking about the American Chopper guys. You're talking about Jesse James and stuff.
These two guys reminded me of the American Chopper guys, the guys in the propane thing. And I thought for a second
you're talking about the meme where they're arguing or whatever,
Yes.
and he like throws a chair across the room. That
but
meme,
don't they show up
Paul
in King of the Hill later?
Yes, they do.
Okay, that's
do.
what I thought.
I think his name is Paul, right?
That's when we start doing
Paul
all this.
and John and
That's when we start doing all the stunt casting and
Casey.
stuff. Like every once in a while, it's like, oh, the guy from ZZ Top. Oh, the guys from American Chopper.
Yeah. He starts having a lot of weird
These
guests.
people. It's a lot of big people that tend to flow through Arlen all of a sudden. So we pull into J&J's Propane, and they go inside. Hank, of course, excuse me, we're looking for the assistant manager. There's a young guy smoking by the tanks inside number one.
Oh, and not even like by a window.
No,
he's just standing in the middle of the room smoking.
He just
I
lighting
didn't
up.
even notice that.
Yeah.
I forgot they were in a propane store.
Oh, yeah.
smoking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's got a Pantera shirt on, so you're starting to identify as to who this guy is.
You're in the right era.
He's a man with taste.
Sure.
We discussed Pantera on the last episode.
I tried really hard to get Pantera tickets, by the way.
Oh, you did?
And they had to stop touring for some reason. So they were going to be someplace close. It was either Dallas or Austin. And Casey was trying to get them for us.
That'd be awesome to
And
see him
then
live. Zach Wild is taking over Dimebag Darrell's spot, I believe, for guitar.
Wild.
And he's
the only thing I remember
awesome.
about
Black
him
Label
is
Society.
when he played with Ozzy.
Black Label Society. That was his band. That's what I remember him from.
That was after Ozzy.
Yeah. But back to Dimebag Darrell and Pantera for just a second, how we were trying to talk about Van Halen being metal or not.
Yeah.
Well,
no, hair metal.
Hair metal. I'm going to retract everything I said, and I'm going to say, yes, they're metal. I didn't know that they
Metal
were
or hair
attached. No, they're metal.
Okay.
I didn't know that they were attached to Dimebag Darrell in the way they were. He was a huge fan of Van Halen.
Yeah.
And Van Halen, the word Van Halen was a key word for the band, the Pantera band. It was like a secret word that they used. And they would say Van Halen, and that meant it was time to turn it up a notch.
Oh, wow,
to
that's cool.
Kick the show up. There was a guitar that when Dimebag Darrell died, Eddie Van Halen, right? He had a guitar that he liked, and he had asked him, can I get a copy of it or whatever? Where can I get this similar style guitar?
Yeah.
Well, he died, obviously. Well, they were going to get a double made, and they were going to put the double in his casket, but Eddie Van Halen put the original because he said something along the lines of an original like. Dimebag deserves the original.
That's cool.
So I thought that was really
That's
cool.
awesome. Yeah. And I'll be happy to go and tell my wife that they are not hair metal because she is convinced they are. Van Halen was very important to me in my teenage high school years. So there's a guy out there smoking by the tanks in a Pantera shirt. They say they want to talk to the assistant manager. He, of course, turns around to the door and goes, "Jeff, there's some guys out here." Then in comes the dad, the older guy from the back with a ponytail, of course, and a Grand Funk Railroad shirt with no sleeves on. Damn it all, Jeff Jr., I wasn't finished with my nap. Hank says, "Hello there, I'm Hank Hill, and I sell propane and propane accessories, too, in Arlen, Texas. I got to say, I sure envy you. After a hard day's work at a job you love, you get to take your son to see the Cowboys." This guy launches into what I can only describe as a meth head type tirade.
Yeah, definitely a meth head type tirade for sure.
Yeah.
I'll go with that.
He says, "I am so sick of you South Texas pig jockeys coming in here waking me up to tell me, how about them Cowboys? Arlen stinks and Wichita Falls rules. And you know why? Because in 5 minutes I can be inside the great state of Oklahoma. Go Sooners!"
Boomer Sooner.
Go
Boomer
Sooners!
Sooner.
Hank says, what? And then he starts humming the Boomer Sooner song. Go Sooners, go Sooners. Both of them start going into it, Jeff and Jeff Jr. He go, cut it out. Stop it now. I mean, this is the most upset I've seen Hank in quite a while at something that
and it's really weird, like this kind of scene right here, because why don't you just friggin' leave the store?
They're foreigners to him, you know? I mean, he's just so taken back. He's like, oh, shit, what
Why the
happened?
hell
I'm
are
in
you still
Texas.
there,
Why
Hank?
are you talking about Oklahoma?
Get the hell out of the store.
So they're
Hank.
just screaming and hollering, and then, of course, Hank launches into, da, Stampede, go, Dallas Cowboys, go. I mean, it is just the weirdest little thing.
I think it's funny he calls them South Texas pig jockeys. Can anybody...
Everybody all of a sudden knows Pigtown.
Can anybody let us know why they...
Pig jockeys?
Well, why are they associating South Texas with pigs? That's what I want to know. Because I know we have a feral hog. I know we have a feral hog problem in Texas. Yeah. I don't know if that's what the joke's kind of like.
Was it even that prevalent in the 90s though?
The hog problem? I feel like that was like the foundation. That was like the beginnings of the problem was then. Because the Russian boars is what the invasive species is, and it mates with the non-invasive species that are here of pig.
We didn't have our cocaine hippos yet, but we had our wild boars.
Yeah, we had our wild
cocaine
boars.
Cocaine hippos.
Oh, you're talking about the Escobar
Yeah,
hippos,
Colombia. Yeah.
Oh,
Lots of
the
those
cocaine hippos. Yeah, the cocaine
You
hippos.
know they're now an invasive species nowadays?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're
crazy.
dangerous as hell. They're like some of the most dangerous animals ever because they'll
it's
eat
like
you.
It's like nutrients here. Nutrients are also a plant from a long time ago. You know what a nutrient is? It's like a big ass rat, right?
Oh yeah,
And they
that's what you're
live a
saying,
lot
yeah.
at lakes and stuff. But they were introduced to this area as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then they have zebra mussels.
Oh yeah, the zebra
what is
mussels
it,
are bad.
Where they say, "Don't drink, don't drive, drain your boat,"
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah.
Don't do anything. Stay home.
Yeah.
So we're now at the
clean drain. Was it clean drain, dry your boat, or something
clean
like that?
drain, dry your boat.
Yeah.
That's good.
Merrily,
That's
merrily,
good.
merrily down the stream.
Boat tip and sexual health tip.
Yeah, there you go. Clean your boats.
It's now at night. Well, I was thinking clean and drain. But we're now at night. It is at the Wichita Motor Court. The vacancy sign is on. The no is turned off. We are in the room. I don't know what the number of the room is. That's never shown.
And this I think that this particular scene
Mm-hmm.
shows the frugality of Hank Hill. Hank Hill is an assistant manager.
I don't know if it's frugal, man.
You don't think it's
I think
frugal?
it's prudish.
I think it's by hours. I think it's one of those places you rent
Oh,
by
you
the
think?
hour.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm
okay,
saying
okay.
is that
I was thinking about the magic fingers part.
No, not that part. I think that just the whole room itself, I feel like it shows how frugal Hank is, because Hank will go to the seedy motel across town for the cheaper price, instead of going to the hotel maybe just a block or two up the road that's maybe $5 to $10 cheaper.
I would have done that as well.
I would have had to pay the $10.
I stayed in a hotel in Memphis that had a hole in the ceiling. There were gunshots going off in the alleyway.
Okay.
And there was already dog food on the floor in the bathroom.
Well, at least your dog didn't.
We
have to...
slept in shifts. We didn't have a dog. We slept in shifts there. That was also the night that my friend got rolled in the train yard for his shoes by hobos. So
oh wow,
it was quite a trip.
Life, Mike.
Quite
what
a trip.
Life.
So Bobby is in this room by himself, and he sees the magic fingers box on the wall that's connected to the bed. I don't think they have these anymore, and maybe somebody can correct me on that. But,
These kind of hotels?
Well, I'm just saying
Motels,
those magic finger boxes. I don't know if that stuff's been around for a while now, but I can remember being on the wall. You drop a quarter in there, and it just vibrates the whole damn bed. And that's supposed to be sexy or whatever, or make you relax.
So you've been to an actual hotel
I have
where
been
they
to a
have
place
like a
where they had one of
coin-operated
those, yes.
vibrating bed?
Yes.
I can't.
I have
say,
experienced the
cheap,
vibration of a bed for a quarter.
I've stayed in some cheap hotels in my life.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever stayed in a hotel so cheap that it had vibrating beds.
This is the same kind of place that, like, on the outside on the sign would say like free showtime or something like that.
Oh,
you know,
or like rent by the hour.
Yeah. Color TV.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
I apologize, everybody, that most of my jokes are dirty, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I don't know why you.
I think
guys
it's
have
funnier.
To pay
I think it's funnier whenever you qualify it like that.
I don't know why you guys think. I don't know why you guys have to pay to make a bag shake, but I don't. So sucks for you.
Well, I'll only pay a quarter. I can tell you that.
I get gas sometimes too.
We all get gas. Oh, you're
he
talking,
said he makes
I
bed
see what
shake.
you're
I
saying.
said I get gas sometimes too.
All right, so Magic Fingers box. Bobby is, I like magic. I don't know what the hell he thinks it is. He puts a quarter in the box. The bed just starts vibrating all over the place. And he starts singing the Spice Girls song. I tell you what I want, what I really want, while he's vibrating, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Hank comes in. He has obviously been off getting snacks or something. He goes, oh, get off there, Bobby. You're not 18, which I think that's my favorite joke in this thing. He drags Bobby off the bed. Bobby says, this is the coolest bed I've ever seen. They don't have beds like this in Arlen. Hank unplugs it and goes, they certainly do not. He says, Bobby says, look what I found in the nightstand. He's got a VHS tape that just happened to be left in this room, by the way, which I can only assume got left in every room.
Like,
you know?
well, whenever you see a VHS tape in a room with a vibrating bed with quarters on the wall, it kind of, I don't know if I would want to pop that one in. I don't know if I would even want to touch it.
I'm expecting either latex or a snuff film.
Yeah, I was expecting some type of seedy pornography.
But the tape says Wichita Falls Chamber of Commerce presents Training Camp of Champions. Hank says, what the heck is this? Bobby says, this is the tape that Wichita Falls made to show how great it is here, and they sent it to the Cowboys, and that's why they came. And then he starts like dancing around going, do you want to watch my tape? Which I'm assuming is the end of the Spice Girls song.
Yeah.
They put the tape in the VHS, turn it on, and it comes on, and the man doing the voiceover says, Wichita Falls is really excited about bringing the Dallas Cowboys to our city. The North Texas town is a perfect spot for the training camp of the Dallas Cowboys. They show a crowd in the stands. They've got a banner that says, we heart the Cowboys. Then they pan over to the park, and a bunch of kids playing bunch of kids playing football in the park. Hank, of course, has a problem with it being called North Texas. He says, North Texas, my foot. It's more like South Oklahoma.
South Oklahoma.
Which is an insult, by the way.
Which is an insult.
Yeah.
To call a Texan in Oklahoma is pretty insulting.
People on the tape are just waving at the camera, and there's a big banner that goes over the main street, says Wichita loved the Dallas Cowboys, or Wichita loves the Dallas Cowboys. And again, Hank is a little upset because he does not consider it South Texas.
No, he does not.
Bobby says, well, whatever you call it, I like it more than Pigtown. Hank this really hits Hank hard.
Oh, it does.
Because his hometown is the best town. He goes, what?
His hometown is better than the hometown of anybody. His hometown is the pinnacle of hometowns.
This is a fantastic line, well written. Says, what? Now you wash your mouth out right now with 2 or 3 of those little soaps. 2 or 3 of those little soaps. That's so like good. I hate hotel soap.
I hate hotel soap as well.
Now, since they started putting the body wash in the little bottles, that's fine.
Okay.
The hotel soap bars, they always leave me feeling sticky.
I just hate soap in general.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I use mostly lard. It just rinses the grease right off, or it adds to it. Either way, it's what nature intended. Now, we're driving back into Arlen. This is that challenge right here. So we see them. This is where Bobby starts talking about how he hates Arlen. But they pass the Welcome to Arlen sign, population 145,300. So we got that fact. This is 1999. And then on the sign, it says Area 8793. I am not sure what that area is.
What is it?
I thought maybe
area. What did you say?
8793. It says Area 8793. The only thing I really got was references to this.
Well, there's an area code 8793, and then you add a 0 to it. But that's the only thing I can find anything like that, and that would be
I
New
believe
Mexico.
This is more of like a latitude and longitude type thing.
Oh,
or
okay.
maybe it's the total area in miles. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not really sure either.
That's what I'm saying. If anybody can help us out with that, it would be greatly appreciated, and I'm happy to send you a sticker. If you can give us any of that sort of information, because we are a little bit of a true crime here where we're trying to figure out where the hell Arlen is.
Yeah, we've been exploring this for a little while now.
I don't know why that's a crime, but still. I just like to say true crime. That way we can put it in that category.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Bobby pulls his shirt over his mouth and says, sheesh, I never noticed what a dump this town is before. He goes, what's that smell? Ugh, I think I'm going to throw up. Hank says, it's just the sausage plant. That
Have you ever
means
drove by a hot
Bobby.
dog factory or anything like that before?
No.
There is a Bar S hot dog, that's the gut rot of hot dogs in Oklahoma.
That's the ones I always bought.
Yeah.
Because they're cheap.
They are cheap, but they're god-awful for you. But
it's just sodium, man. It's fine.
Well,
Guinea pigs
it's
love
not the
it.
sodium that bothers me. It's everything else. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I know what sodium
Lips and
is,
assholes?
but I don't know what
Yeah.
else they're putting into it. But so yeah, there's a Bar S hot dog factory in Oklahoma that.
Oh, I cannot imagine it smells good.
I can't imagine it smells good either. No.
No, I would. Whenever he does this, all I could think about is over here in Waco. When you get over close to Baylor, it used to smell like feces all the time. Like it would smell like they were stirring. What my dad would always say is they're stirring the shit, and so it was like that scent would come out. I guess as they were rotating the tanks or something. It just smelled.
Yeah, it just was some god awful smell.
Oh, and it was only in one area. But he goes, "That smell means jobs, Bobby." And then he sniffs a couple of times and he rolls up all the windows.
Rolls up all the windows, realizes how bad it stinks. Yeah, I'm sure it doesn't smell very well.
So we are back at the Hill house. It is now night. Bobby is laying on the couch. This is a weird scene because Bobby's laying on the couch with all the lights off and only the TV on. So you're only getting the flicker of the TV as far as light goes.
Yeah.
Peggy is milling around in the kitchen. And we hear this announcer on TV saying the state-of-the-art mall is anchored by Dillard's and JCPenney, and our restaurants include both Chili's and Bennigan's. Bobby repeats this part to him, so he obviously has heard this commercial before. He goes, Chili's and Bennigan's, and then he just kind of falls asleep. Peggy comes in, covers Bobby up with a blanket, and then she heads off to the bedroom. She is wearing her pink house coat.
Yep.
Over her nightgown, which is neither appealing or revealing. So she comes into the bedroom. Hank is he's at the end of the bed taking his socks off. She goes, well, Bobby sure had a good time on his trip. Hank says, yeah, too good. Now he's down on his hometown. And they get in bed together. He goes, all his dreams from now on are going to be about leaving. And then some high school guidance counselor, I love how he's just a little stick at a high school guidance counselor. He's going to tell him to follow his dreams. Then how will he end up? A fruit pie salesman with a whoopee cushion living in Wichita Falls. Peggy says, are there a lot of fruit pie salesmen in Wichita Falls?
I've never heard of a fruit pie salesman.
I don't think you exclusively sell fruit
pies.
pies.
I'm not really sure.
But Peggy says, Hank, it's happening to the best of our young people. There is nothing here for them. Last week, 2 sixth graders told me they wanted to be astronauts. You can't find work as an astronaut in Arlen, Hank. Not anymore. My question is, when the hell did they have astronauts in Arlen?
That's what I'm saying. I thought that was a very, very, very funny joke from Peg there.
Hank just kind of sighs, and he goes, I've been trying to hire some teenagers at Strickland for months. No one wants to be a tank wipe these days. Well, no shit, Hank. Nobody wants to be a tank wipe. Not even Joe Jack or any of those people there. Enrique, none of them want to be tank wipes. That sucks.
Yeah.
Hank doesn't even want to do it.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
He's trying to hire teenagers to do it because they're cheap.
Do a job that he doesn't want to do himself. Right. Yeah.
So the next night,
that's why I work here.
You do a fine tank wipe, let me tell you. The next night, we are at Pancho's Mexican Buffet. And
isn't that an actual buffet place?
It is an actual buffet place. I'm going to tell you about it in just a second. We see the big Pancho's sign outside, and this is a rare occasion where a real place makes an appearance.
Well, it's 2 in 1 episode. You got Dairy Queen and you got Pancho's.
Because, later on, Luby's becomes Luli's, and Whataburger becomes like Waterburger or something. It's they change it all. But you see Dale's Bugabago, I said it right, parked out in front next to Hank's truck, and then we go inside. Let me tell you about Pancho's real quick. We used to have a Pancho's here in Waco, and I liked it. It is cheap as you can get Mexican food, and I put that in air quotes because there's nothing either Mexican or ethnic about it. It is a buffet. You go through like a cafeteria style line with a tray.
Okay.
They had I remember they had like enchiladas. They had a chili relleno, which was one of the worst things I've ever put in my mouth.
Sounds delicious.
Well, the problem was it was very spongy, right? It was very spongy, not very good. And of course they had, all the Mexican staples or whatever. And you would go through, and then you take your tray to the table, and on the table you had a little flag. And so when you were out of food, you would raise the flag, and they would come
it was
around
like
and
a
say,
buffet where they served you. So you would have a menu, and they would come around and just say, "Hey, what do you want? Hey, what do you want?"
The only other thing that I've ever experienced.
That's a unique buffet.
I was going to say the only other thing that I've ever experienced like that is like a Brazilian steakhouse. You go to a Brazilian steakhouse.
They're opening one in town.
Yeah. You get a Brazilian steakhouse, you get a coaster. It's green on one side, red on the other side. As long as you leave it on green, they keep bringing you meat.
Oh well.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
I need to check out a
It's pretty amazing, yeah.
That sounds like a great business model.
So Ponchos, the first Ponchos restaurant opened in El Paso, which makes sense, in 1958. The restaurant was founded by Jesse Arambade Jr., who also owns Los Banditos de Carlos and Mickey's restaurant. He learned how to make Mexican dishes from his mother. His experience in cooking in large quantities was serving on an American naval troop ship during World War II. He would contribute towards his concept of how to operate a buffet-style restaurant. That makes total sense, right?
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah, you're in the Army or whatever, and that's fantastic. He used exactly what he learned. After several years of operating his restaurant as a success, he turned his energy towards creating a Ponchos restaurant chain. The company eventually relocated its corporate office from El Paso to Fort Worth in 1966. In 2007, Ponchos moved east again, this time to Dallas. Since 1979, the corporation has changed hands between several owners and partners. The restaurant chain is owned and managed by Ponchos Mexican Buffet, Inc., which was previously named Pamex Foods, Inc. Pamex Foods, Inc. changed its corporate name to Ponchos Mexican Buffet in 1982. In 1988, there were 55 Ponchos Mexican Buffet restaurants. At the end of 2000, there were only 48, and the company employed 2,001 people. In September 2004, there were only 40 located in the U.S., Arizona, Louisiana, New Mexico, Oklahoma, and Texas.
Oh, okay.
I do know there's still one in Fort Worth because I've driven by it several times.
There's still one there. I've seen it.
And if I am anywhere near a Ponchos, I will probably stop there, as long as my wife's not in the truck.
I'm sure your wife doesn't like Ponchos.
Oh, she does not like the Ponchos.
No.
Her dad, when her parents got divorced, he would come and pick them up on the weekends, and they always ate those patio TV dinners. And so she has had all of the cheap Mexican food she's ever wanted.
I can see that. Divorced dad meals are generally not the best. I've never experienced divorced dad meals at home, but I've been to friends' houses where dad recently divorced mom, and we're hanging at dad's house now instead of hanging. We're bouncing back and forth where we're hanging out at. Well, you at mom's house, and mom caters to you, and mom's made sure everybody's got a soda to drink or whatever you want to drink, kind of thing. Checking up on you every 20. You boys hungry? You boys hungry? You go to the dad's house. It's like
serve yourself,
hot
boys.
dogs and sloppy joes.
Hot Pockets.
That was like the
pizza
only meal
rolls.
that I think I had at my buddy's house for before his dad figured out cooking. Was hot dogs and sloppy joes every time I was at his house.
Sloppy joes was a meal too, because that took some prepping. Hot dogs did not.
No, hot dogs didn't.
He would also take them to see R-rated movies that her mother wouldn't take them to see. So he was playing the fun dad.
Yeah. You gotta play your cards however you can get it, I guess.
So they're all at this table, and when I say all, I mean Hank, Peggy, Dale, Bill, Boomhauer, Nancy, and Luann. They're all sitting at this big table at Ponchos, which they did have big tables, so you would get large parties coming in.
Yeah, for sure.
Both wide and in numbers. And everyone at the table is dressed to go out to eat. Hank's wearing a tie. Dale is wearing a jacket. I mean, it's like they all got dressed up to go out to eat to Poncho's Mexican Buffet.
There's nothing wrong with getting dressed up to eat at Poncho's
Mexican
Buffet.
It's just odd to me.
That reminds me as a kid, it didn't matter where we were going out to eat. If we were going out to eat for a meal, like a nighttime meal, it didn't matter if it was, Olive Garden or whatever it was. Everybody was dressed into the nines just because it was such a rare occasion to go out to eat a meal at night.
That's true. So at Poncho's, Hank is holding court at the foot of the table, and he goes, and the problem is our kids are leaving. Dale, who is standing up for some reason, says, Hank's right. If all the children leave Arlen, there'll be no young to take care of our old. Our old will feed off our very old. Our very old who are not eaten will wish they had been eaten. Which is a very bleak take on what's going to happen if some of the kids leave Arlen. Hank stands up. Again, he's in a tie. He goes, Dale, that's not going to happen. Now, not if we do something about it. We're going to keep our young people by bringing the Dallas Cowboys training camp to Arlen. Everybody just gasps, and they go, oh, my God, what a great idea. Well, okay. Number one, Cowboys haven't been good for probably 3 years now. I mean, they're still good. They just hadn't been winning.
They're decent, but they're not.
At this
They're not
point.
doing what they need to do to win.
And
Quick shout out to Josh and Sydney. If you guys listen to this, you thought this was your year. It wasn't again. Sucks to be you.
Wow, that was a very personal dig.
It was brutal.
I just don't know that you're
Savagery.
keeping kids in Arlen by bringing the Dallas Cowboys training camp there. I just don't think that's a thing.
No, I don't think so either.
You're going to get 2 weeks, a month maybe, of fans coming. That's about it.
That's it.
So everybody gasped with all that. Hank says, I know it's a long shot, but if we make a movie about Arlen and send it to the Cowboys, of course, this piques Nancy's interest. Because Nancy is a TV personality. She goes, do you really think we can make a movie, Hank? He goes, I know we can. We used to make movies all the time. Remember, Dale, you practically slept with that little camcorder. Dale says, practically? I was going to be the next Zapruder. Except nobody shot a president after that. Nobody knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
So tell me about Zapruder.
Okay, so Zapruder. Give me just 1 second. I have some notes.
Zapruder.
So Zapruder was it was shot on the Zapruder film is related to the Kennedy assassination. So the Zapruder film is the famous film that anybody sees, that anytime the news talks about it, it's like the most famous, probably one of the most famous few minutes of film in history.
Absolutely.
It's a silent 8mm color sequence shot by a man named Abraham Zapruder. He did it on a Bell & Howell 8mm camera. So he was standing there recording when Kennedy got shot.
Mm-hmm.
So the Secret Service promised Zapruder that the film would only be used for the official investigation and stuff like that. So the film kind of like changed hands and did a lot of, it kind of moved around a little bit. So there was a copy that was, the footage was sold to Life magazine for $150K.
At the time.
Huge
amount of money.
Huge amount of money.
Yep.
Equivalent to $1.3 million in today's money.
Yep.
So Dan Rather was the first to report on the footage on
By the
national
way,
television.
I'd like to go on record as saying I'm willing to sell any of my footage for $1.3 million.
Yeah, definitely. I will. You can have any.
I have
anything I've ever
I
recorded.
have a lot of footage of like the inside of my pocket, my feet, things like that. As I screw up and hit the wrong button.
I actually have some never before seen pictures of the 1953 tornado.
Really?
I actually have some never been before released. One of my dad's cousins.
1953 tornado here in Waco, Texas.
Yeah, here in Waco, Texas.
It is still talked about today. There's a memorial. The whole
It's a
thing.
huge thing.
Yeah.
So one of my dad's cousins, way older cousin, World War II vet kind of age. He remembers driving from Houston to Waco the day after to come check on the family and help everybody out or whatever.
Sure.
And he took pictures when he came to town. And he only took like five or six photos, but I have those at the house. Never before been released ever.
My dad was downtown whenever it happened in like a department store with my grandmother.
Oh,
something
wow.
at the time. Yeah, he'll tell you stories about it. I've heard them all. I'm good.
Yeah, but back on the Zapruder thing real fast. So they used his deal through the court case, and there's like a lot of controversies and stuff about it.
Sure.
Huge amount of controversy. I don't really want to go into it because it's extremely extensive.
It's a big deal, yeah.
But
many documentaries.
Anything to do
Seinfeld episode.
An
entire movie.
Yep. Anything to do with the
Kevin Costner, right? JFK?
Oliver Stone.
Yeah.
JFK.
Just Kevin Costner.
That was Kevin Costner. He paid $85,000 to the Zapruder family for the use of the film.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Yeah, so
$85,000, that's nothing.
That's nothing.
Especially at the time
compared
that JFK
to what
was
the
made.
movie was actually probably going to make.
Yeah.
But
I bet it's made $1 billion at this point.
Oh,
easy.
But so there's a lot of controversy, a lot of drama behind it all. Long story short, the Zapruder film is like the only recording that we have of the shooting.
It's the most famous.
The other recording that's never been released, never been found because the investigators could not find the woman, was the babushka.
Yeah, the woman over there on
So it was a woman that had the shawl and everything on, and she had a camera too. There's multiple theories on that. She might have been another shooter.
She was a robot.
Or she was just filming it. So whatever you think or feel.
Russian robot.
The funny stuff, since they do mention Jack Ruby. No, it's not in this episode. They mention Jack Ruby, is it?
No, it's the next
I'll
one.
save it for the next one. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
save that for the next episode.
So Nancy pipes up, Shug, as a professional on-air personality, I'd be glad to donate my services. I've always wanted to branch out from weather into hard infotainment. Infotainment. Love that.
Yeah, I like that too.
Hard infotainment.
Hard infotainment.
Peggy says, and every good, she's just so condescending. As
She's
we
terribly
go,
condescending.
I am buying into this terrible Peggy thing. She goes, and every good movie starts with a what? A good script. Yep. Pass the salt, please. I mean, that's her whole thing, right?
That's it. Yeah,
and this made me think that her and Hank had these steps planned out. Because he goes, hey, Peggy, you're a writer. You could write the script. She goes, me? Well, all right, I'll do it for the children of Arlen. I mean,
Just for the children.
They already had that planned out. Come on.
It's for the children of Arlen.
Hank
Only.
says, I will be the president of the movie. President of the movie? That's not a thing, right? I mean, isn't it director?
It's director.
Whatever
Yeah.
Hank
Doesn't
wants to
know
call
what
it.
movie making is.
I'll be the president of the film. Boomhauer pipes up and says, tell you what, man, all you need, man, one of them dang old narrator, you're going to get acted like a movie trailer, man, and go like, in a world where love is against the law. You know, something like that, man. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
Hank, yeah, or we could put you in an armadillo suit. Bill, you'll be in charge of snacks. I mean, that honestly is pretty condescending also.
Yeah, it's definitely condescending.
Bill is in I made sure to note this because it's the only time I've ever seen it. Bill is in a mint green V-neck sweater. So he is all dressed up to go out to eat. I would imagine that has some enchilada stains on it after they get done.
Oh, yeah, it's heavily stained with enchiladas. You're talking about red sauce all over the place.
He says, Bill, you're in charge of snacks. Bill pipes up with, this calls for sopapillas. And then the waitress brings him a big plate of sopapillas. You like the sopapillas?
I like sopapillas.
Yeah, they're very good.
I like the dulce de leche stuff too. My mom makes a really good 3-milk. It's a dulce de leche pie cake.
Pie cake.
She makes like the cake dulce de leche, then she makes a dulce de leche pie.
Yeah.
And she puts the
Puts them
pie
together.
in the cake.
It's a pie caking.
Pie caking.
Yeah. And Hank pipes up and says,
Not to
all
be confused
right.
with bukkake.
That's
Yeah.
Oh, good God. Hank pipes up and says, all right, yeah, how about them Cowboys? Sopapillas for everyone. And then we pan over to Bobby and Joseph playing a boxing video game right next to the claw machine.
Yeah.
And he goes, in Wichita Falls, this button doesn't stick. And you can see Hank in the background just kind of looking on. And that is where they take a commercial break, and we will do the same, and we will be right back.
Hello, do you suffer from migraines, stiff neck, tension headaches? Come see me, John Redcourt, your licensed New Age healer. I'll help you get rid of that. Thank you. This has been my ad.
All right, and we are back from those fantastic commercial announcements. My favorite was for the new wooden leg. Okay, so now we are we're making a movie. So when we come back, we see you see this a lot in movies and TV shows where they're focusing through like the camera lens, you know, or like the monitor on the camera. So you see the frame and you see the little record thing in the corner and the counter and all that stuff going on.
Like the old VHS cameras.
Yes. And there's a lot of movement in this thing. It's focusing in and out, and it's kind of moving around and stuff.
Well, that's the thing that you don't really get anymore with a lot
stabilization
of
and stuff. Yeah.
Well, no, back in the day with like a VHS player, you put your movie in. And you have all this stuff on the screen for a second. You know, you got your counter, your time, the time of day it is, the date, all that kind of stuff, and then it all goes away, and then your movie starts.
That's where you see if anybody actually set their clock. You know, because if it comes up at 12, then you know. So we see Nancy on the screen. She is standing next to the Arlen sign, and she says, welcome, Jerry Jones. I'm Nancy Hicks Gribble, and I'll be your tour guide on a magical journey through Arlen, Texas, the next training campsite of the Dallas Cowboys. Sharks may be scary, as is the spear-like marlin, but fear not, Jerry Jones, for landlocked Arlen is darling.
Landlocked
Gross.
Arlen is darling. Why would you say landlocked Arlen?
Well, we find out. We find out why.
Like it's
now,
anything. Like it's going to be anything but landlocked.
we see behind the camera, there's a whole crew there. You got Peggy with the script. You got Dale on the camera. That's why it's shaking and going all over the place. And you see Boomhauer. He's already in that armadillo suit.
He is in the armadillo suit.
Orange armadillo suit. Hank says, cut. And Dale, of course, immediately, we're going to get the Cowboys. Hank says, let's not get ahead of ourselves, Dale. Now, I noticed you were jiggling the camera a bit. We really don't need any fancy camera tricks. By jiggling, I guess. He goes, just point and shoot. Yeah, Dale says, gotcha.
Shaky cam sucks, man.
I have a fight with you over that one. He says, gotcha. Consider me a human tripod with an invisible third leg. Gross.
Yes, that's pretty gross.
Now we're in front of the Y'all Store It with Dale's Bugaboo parked out front. Oh, shit, I said it wrong. Bugabago. So sorry. That guy's going to yell at us again.
Yeah, he is.
Bugabago. Nancy, again, is in front, and the camera is still doing that kind of stuff. She goes, like you Cowboys, Arlenites are rugged individualists. We are do-it-yourselfers for your information. That's DIY, FYI. One more reason that Arlen is darlin'. Yikes. Hank says, cut.
Not a fan. Yeah, not a fan.
Not a fan either. Hank says, cut. Okay. That was written okay and acted pretty good, but it needs, let me think about this. And he's like going into his director mode. He goes off from him for a second. He's like rubbing his chin and watching and waiting. Everybody is. He goes, all right, let's do it again. Maybe a little better this time. Well, that's fantastic, Hank. Good job. You really came up with some fantastic notes there. Now, we're still outside the storage. Peggy is editing her script by hand, of course, in the back of the Bugabago.
The Bugabago.
The back of it is up. It's just a minivan, but the back of it is up, and she's in there kind of working. Nancy walks up to Peggy and goes, I don't care what Hank says, Shug. I thought your script was just wonderful. Peggy just kind of laughs. She goes, well, thank you, Nancy. I got that rhyming idea from Charles Kuralt. Or was it Charles Osgood? Wait, was it the one with the mistress and the Winnebago? She goes, they all fool around, Shug. Anyway, your script is brilliant. I wouldn't change a word. Here we go with the beginning of what becomes an all-out fight with everybody. Peggy says, well, now that you mention it, you did change one tiny little word. She's pointing at the script. And what's funny to me is you can see it kick in on Nancy when she takes the makeup clamshell she's got, with a little mirror in it, and she slams it and goes, really? Did I? Just so passive aggressive. Peggy says, yeah, you changed Arlenites instead of Arlenians. She goes, oh, well, that's the Channel 84 preferred term for residents of Arlen. What? Peggy says,
the Channel 84 preferred term.
Preferred term. Yeah. She goes, well, technically, residents of Arlen are called Arlenians. As a substitute educator, I would know that. Okay, once again, Peggy, dial it back a notch.
Once again, teacher.
I will sort of agree with Peggy here, just because Arlenians sounds better than Arlenites.
Yeah, Arlenites sounds like you're from the planet Arlen or something. It just sounds terrible.
Arlenian sounds kind of alien too.
Arlenian sounds a little bit, but I can see it. Yeah. Nancy responds with, well, you're the writer, Shug. I'm just the professional television personality, which, again, just rough. Now we see Nancy on the tape. Hank and Dale are watching it back. Again, it's going in and out. It's blurry, back and forth, bouncing up and down. And Nancy is saying, like you Cowboys, Arlenites. And Hank says, I'm duct taping your Zoom. Because he's watching it with Dale. He goes, oh. Yeah. And then Boomhauer over in the orange armadillo costume comes over and says, hey, man, old heat rash, man, dang old human hothouse in here, man.
A human hothouse in here, man.
Human hothouse.
God dang it.
Hank says, Boomhauer, we'll get to you tomorrow, I promise. And you just hear Boomhauer. And this wasn't in the transcript that I printed out. He goes, thank you, man. And then as he goes over, he goes, dang old, hurry up and wait, man.
Dang old, hurry up and wait.
You see Bill over there on the side, Bill and Bobby standing there with cheese trays because they are craft services now, I would assume, or snacks as they call it in Arlen. Bill goes, oh, gosh, I don't know who's sweating more, me or the cheese. There is just sweat pouring off of this fat man. and he is holding these trays of cheese. It is gross looking. I would not want any of this cheese.
I wouldn't want his cheese. No.
So now we've got Hank and Bobby sitting at the football field there in Arlen, and Bobby is talking to Hank. He goes, Dad, you look tired. He goes, I guess it's hard to get enough rest when you're presidenting a film. I think he means executive producer. Sure.
Right? Is that what he's?
I guess. A director or whatever. Hank says, yep, and he's drawing up something on a clipboard. He goes, see, I'm going to do a big shot from up here. Second funniest joke in this thing, they show you what he's been drawing. It's 3 stick figures in 3 boxes. There's nothing going on there.
No,
it's just stick
at
figures that he's drawn in boxes. Bobby says, do you really think the Cowboys have moved to Arlen? Hank, I sure do, son. Imagine what it'll be like. We'll go get autographs, and Troy Aikman will toss the ball around with you because that's a 1-to-1.
Like that's going to happen.
He goes, and I wish I could have had Dandy Don Meredith or Roger Staubach throwing me passes when I was your age. Even Craig Morton would have been all right. I love you, Bobby.
I'm guessing this Craig Morton was
I got something for you.
Low rent.
The funniest thing, though, is I love you, Bobby. There's the biggest pregnant pause. And
Huge pause.
Bobby turns to him and goes, what? He goes, nothing. Hey, look at that bird.
He hasn't heard it. He's heard it so few times.
He doesn't know. It kind of takes him aback.
Did I hear that right?
Yeah. Oh, nothing. Look at that bird.
Yeah, he's taken aback by it a little bit.
Larry Craig Morton, born February 5th, 1943, is an former American football quarterback who played in the National Football League for 18 seasons. 18! That's a lot as a quarterback. Primarily with Dallas Cowboys and Denver Broncos. He played college football at California. Following 9 seasons he was selected by the Cowboys 5th overall in the 1965 draft, so only 5 years after they started. Following 9 seasons on the Cowboys, a quarterback controversy with Roger Staubach led to Morton joining the New York Giants for 3 seasons.
Oh, okay.
He spent his final 6 seasons as a member of the Broncos, winning NFL Comeback Player of the Year and AFC Offensive Player of the Year in 1977. Morton is the first starting quarterback to appear in a Super Bowl with more than one franchise, having led the Cowboys to Super Bowl 5 and the Broncos to Super Bowl 12. He is also the only quarterback to start for multiple franchises. That's 12. Only quarterback to start for multiple franchises in their inaugural Super Bowl appearance. Morton was inducted to the College Football Hall of Fame in 1992.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. There's all you ever didn't want to know about Craig Morton. So, again, we get a super pregnant pause. We get an I love you from Hank, which I don't know if that ever happens again. Bobby is very taken back, and he goes, look at that bird. Now, my favorite place, and the place I'm going to look for a T-shirt from, we are at the Arlen Snake Farm and Boot Outlet, and then there's a little thing on the sign that says, now with monkeys, which is just fantastic.
A boot outlet
now with monkeys. Now with monkeys. Well, again,
that's a good idea.
When your snakes die, you make boots.
Yep, got to.
You know?
Snake boots. There's a snake in my boots.
Lemons, lemonade, snake, boot outlet.
Yeah.
We are standing outside of the snake farm, Dale, Hank, Boomhauer in the armadillo suit without the head. And Hank says, Dale, stop putting your bug truck in the background of all these shots. What kind of message are we sending? Arlen is full of bugs. Which,
trying to get all that free advertising.
I don't blame Dale, honestly, for putting his Bugabago in the background of all these shots. I mean, I think it's actually a smart thing until somebody tells you to stop. Dale says, you think that's all I do? I killed 8 gophers last year and a purebred Tennessee walking horse that looked at me funny.
Oh, wow. Yikes.
He put down a horse that looked at him weird.
A Tennessee walking horse at that. That sounds like an expensive kind of horse.
Tennessee walking horse that looked at me odd.
It's a horse I'd attach my wagon to.
Peggy says, did you know that Prima Donna had the gall to suggest changing my slogan from Arlen is Darlin' to Arlen where Super Bowls are born? Which, I got to tell you, this is a lot better. Especially, you got to know your market. You know, you got to know your audience. And that's
you definitely have to know your audience.
This gets Hank, and he goes, oh, where Super Bowls are born. Where is Nancy anyway? She says, well, Miss Priss is pouting in her trailer, and she looks over at the Bugabago. So the Bugabago is the talent trailer.
You know, and this, I'm just going to go ahead and introduce this next scene, the rest of the scene.
Well, Peggy says she won't do my snake scene.
Yeah. So I'm mainly referring to the John Red. Like, she goes to the deal. She's in this thing. She won't get out of the deal. And then John Redcorn pulls up.
2 episodes in a row, by the way.
Yeah, 2 episodes in a row.
With the John Redcorn
thing. So Why is everyone just sitting around while they're having sex in this van?
Well,
Everybody
you're
knows.
assuming they're having sex.
I'm not
that van
assuming.
is not rocking.
It doesn't have to rock.
That's true.
He's
So they
John
didn't go
Redcorn,
knocking.
man.
That's what the most boring sex is.
No, not when you're driving. I think John Redcorn
just saying
has
stuff.
like he has mastered the art of ethereal sex.
Stealth effing.
Yeah. Well, he's had to have sex with Nancy for like 20 years
Sure.
behind the scenes.
Sure.
So I'm sure he's got some skill in it.
He's human Tylenol. At
He's
this
like
point,
the
is what he
assassin of
is.
vagina. He's like the pussy assassin.
Assassin.
He's there and then he's gone.
That's definitely already a shirt.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So,
Well, speaking of shirts, I stumbled on your Oni-chan stuff. And I was looking at all the shirts that y'all had in y'all's merch store.
yeah,
Those are some bangers.
thank you.
All the silo stuff
Yeah.
was the funniest shit on earth.
Yeah,
I
we
thought that
shouldn't
was
bring
great.
that up. That's good. That's good.
That was great.
Let's go to something else. So we fade to later in the day, and Bill's got the food out. Him and Bobby are just sitting there chowing down on the craft services. Dale's still got the camera. Peggy's still got the script. Hank and Luann are all standing around next to the Bugabago. Everybody is waiting on this prima donna to come out of her trailer, which is a Bugabago. John Redcorn pulls up in the Jeep. On the stereo of the Jeep, Billy Squire playing The Stroke. Stroke it, stroke it. That song.
That's the hair metal.
And
Yeah.
that's another one I would argue with you, though, as far as Billy Squire goes.
That song is hair metal.
He says, Hank says, "Thank God you're here, John Redcorn." And Dale says, "Yeah, Nancy won't come out of the Bugabago." John Redcorn walks over to the side door of the Bugabago because, again, it's just a minivan. He opens it up, goes in and talks to Nancy for about half a second. And he goes, "Nancy has a headache and requires treatment. I will need about an hour and a bottle of Asti Spumante."
Which I looked up. It is a wine.
Yes. It was
Not only is it a wine, it's one of
sparkling
the
wine.
oldest
Yes.
grape varietals in the world.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
And, of course, Dale says, "I'll get it." It's crazy to me how he feeds their sex. I mean,
I honestly don't understand that at all. But
he was a cuck before there were cucks. Anyway, John Redcorn gets into the Bugabago and he's taking care of Nancy's quote unquote headache. Later, they're all still standing around and waiting, and Peggy says, "That's it. You've pampered that woman long enough. Put me on camera right this second. Come on. Snakes and I are ready to go." She picks up a snake, and it's a red and yellow. I don't know what those are called, but I always heard red and yellow kill a fellow. It is a
king
red.
coral?
Yeah, it's a red snake with yellow stripes around it that are encompassed in black. Doesn't look like a friendly snake, but Peggy just goes over, picks the damn
What were the
snake up.
bands again on there? On that one,
It's a
did you
solid
say?
red snake that has a yellow and black band on it. The yellow band is a lot wider. But she's saying all this to Hank. She's like, "Screw
It's
this."
a coral.
Okay, so that is a coral.
They're the only venomous snake in Texas that is brightly colored red, yellow, and black bands completely encircling the body.
Red and yellow kill a
So
fella.
she's effectively holding a poisonous snake in her hand.
Well, not only that, she just goes over and picks it the hell up.
Picks it up like it's nothing.
Yeah, just
But
puts
that
it-
would be a
It's a very Peggy thing to do.
Well, to be fair, she was raised on a ranch.
That's true.
So she would be used
Montana,
to,
right?
Yeah, Montana.
Yeah.
So she'd be used to dealing with snakes and
Yeah, that's true.
pest and
Oh,
carnivores.
Yeah, probably so.
There's no way Peggy's ever been scared of a spider, a snake, a mouse, or anything like that. Peggy.
Nah, she's not scared of nothing. But
Peggy
the
will
thing for
stomp
me,
it with her big
the
ass
thi-
foot.
The thing for me is that Texas doesn't have very many venomous snakes. There's only like 5 or 6, I think, species of venomous snakes
We
in
got the
Texas.
rattler, the coral.
The rattler, the coral,
the moccasin.
water moccasins. Which a water moccasin is it's actually a.
Eel.
No, I can't think of what they call them. And there's a
Dog. Sweet
whatever.
treat.
It's a snake. It's a certain type of snake. I couldn't remember the name of it. But either way, they're all It's crazy that she's holding a venomous snake. Long story short.
So Hank says, maybe we should give John Redcorn a few more minutes because he loves Peggy. There's no doubt about this, but he understands what Peggy is too. He knows that Peggy is not your on-air personality.
Nah, she's not. She's not. And
she's too
it's kind
Peggy.
of. I don't know. It's kind of sad as a husband that he does that to her though, because. My wife isn't homely. She's actually very beautiful. But if my wife was homely,
Yeah.
you can't make her feel
I'm
bad.
not even talking about the homely part. It's like if I'm talking about my wife, then I would never put her in the studio here to record. It's just not her
be very
deal.
Careful. Be very careful.
It's not her deal, right?
Yeah.
She knows that this is my deal, right?
Yeah,
and so
sure.
she doesn't really want any part of that. And I get it. I understand that. That's all I was talking about. He understands her limitations.
Yeah,
you know?
and then she is a ball of nerves.
Plus, she
so
becomes
it is what it
very
is.
Peggy. So you get Peggy saying she makes a twirling motion with her finger and goes. Whoosh. She goes, you know what that is? He says, no. She goes, let me tell you. It's the sound of Arlen's future going right down the toilet. You know whose butt is on that seat? Well, it's yours, Hank. It's your butt. He goes, Dale, get the camera. Because he doesn't want his butt going down with Arlen.
No, he does not. Nobody wants to go down with the ship.
So we're now
to speak.
shooting the video, and it's Peggy standing there with the snake. The monkeys are all behind her, and she's got a mouse in the other hand. So she's got the coral snake in one hand and a mouse in the other hand. And this I think maybe the funniest scene coming up. Hank says, okay, we're rolling. Now just try to relax. And remember, all the Cowboys will be watching you. No pressure there, Hank. No pressure.
No pressure whatsoever.
Peggy, very nervously, says, it's feeding time here at the world-famous Arlen Snake Farm. You Cowboys have a lot in common with these hungry vipers. They devour rodents just the way you devour opponents.
I like that, buddy.
And then she starts smacking the snake and the mouse together on the heads because she's trying to
really
get
awkward. Yeah.
Well, she's trying to get the snake to eat the mouse,
and it's not happening.
And then finally, the snake's mouth opens, and she just like starts shoving the little mouse's head into the snake's mouth. It's just the craziest looking thing. She's force feeding a mouse to a coral snake.
Yeah.
Hank says, time out, time out. Luann literally gasps at this and just runs off. She's so upset by the fact that she was about to watch a mouse get eaten by a snake. He goes, that was, oh, look, here's Nancy now. And you see Nancy get out of the Bugaboo she got a shitload of makeup on her face, by the way.
A ton of makeup.
Because it's a whole different color.
Yeah.
Her face is a whole different color. He goes, Nancy, Peggy was just standing in for you. Now, honey, if you'll just step aside, Peggy's pissed. Nancy, why don't we do this with your new slogan, Arlen, where Super Bowls are born? You can see Peggy is just, oof. Number one, you've replaced her with Nancy again, who was just off pouting. And number two, you've told her it's okay to replace her writing. So that's tough.
That's definitely tough.
Nancy says, oh, I'll say my slogan, Shug, but I'm not touching that little mouse. This is where it all starts. Peggy says,
all hell's about to break loose.
She goes, oh, yes, you are. And she puts the mouse on Nancy, and then we hear Leonard Skinner start playing Give Me Two Steps, whatever that song is. But we hear that start to play, which had to cost them an arm and a leg to get that song, I would imagine.
Or two legs.
She screams and freaks out because the mouse is on her. She chucks the mouse across the set. It lands on Boomhauer, who is fully in the armadillo costume. It starts getting in there. He freaks out. He knocks over a bucket of mice.
A whole bucket, yeah.
A bucket of mice.
It gets a little weird right here, too.
The monkeys, the mice they're going everywhere. The monkeys start freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
They start pulling on Nancy's hair. They stick a finger up her nose, which is ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous. Disgusting.
You hear Bill, off my cheese.
He screams at Bobby to come help him with the cheese.
He says, Bobby, come help save the cheese.
And they're both
just shoving cheese into their mouth.
With rats crawling over their hands.
Rats are crawling all over.
Disgusting.
The monkeys actually grab a couple of clumps of hair out of Nancy's head as she runs by.
Holds him against his head.
He puts it up against his head like, ha, look at this dumb bitch. And then one of the monkeys literally bites the head off a mouse in front of everybody. He doesn't just bite it. He like stretches it and pulls it out.
Yeah, and for anybody that doesn't know, Arlenian, we got some people watching us. We got about 7 people. So
great.
Hey, everybody.
What's up, guys?
What's up, everybody? We got Jordan watching us.
Arlenites.
Welcome, Arlenites. You Arlenians, whatever you identify as.
Jordan, Smoke Shop, Atlanta.
Yep, Smoke Shop in Atlanta.
Thank you, Jordan.
And then we've got TKTRA Verse. Love your podcast, and Justin S. Castro.
Thanks, guys.
Best podcast ever. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. We appreciate
it. So he says, or Peggy comes back and says, she said Arlenite. It's Arlenian. Either I get an apology or guess what? I quit. And then you see Nancy. She goes, well, you just quit, Shug. And then she starts crying. And then Peggy quits. Bill comes up and says, if Peggy quits, I quit. Boomhauer, out of costume, in his Speedo now, says, oh, man, dang old white guy, man, I quit. Here comes Dale. Hank, you have really bully-ragged this production and stifled my creativity from day one. It is now, looks at the watch, which I did notice, I did notate that this is the best joke of the entire thing, because he goes, you have stifled my creativity from day one. It is now, and he looks at his watch and goes, day 2. Well, that's not a time.
That is
but
not
okay.
a time. Yeah.
I love that.
That is not a time.
He goes, I quit. And then Hank's like, well, what about the Cowboys? The Cowboys. Bobby, who's always the final one, comes up and goes, it's okay, Dad. We were crazy to try to compete with Wichita Falls. This is killing Hank.
Oh, it's destroying him.
Number one, his kid still wants out.
Still wants out.
Still loves Wichita Falls.
Still loves Wichita Falls.
So we're at the next day.
Which I'm not really sure why.
Yeah.
It's a weird town to
again,
love.
Bobby's never been anywhere else.
Yeah.
So
maybe not too many places.
Yeah, he didn't go to Port Aransas. He didn't go, where else has he been so far?
No, you're right.
Now, next day, we're at Strickland with the video camera. It's just Hank. He goes, I can do this on my own. And so he goes and sets the camera on the hood of the truck to record, and you see about 90% of the truck hood in the shot. You see a little tiny Hank standing at the end.
Yeah.
He goes, hello, Jerry Jones. I'm Hank Hill, and I'll be your quarterback on a game-winning drive through Arlen.
This is sad. I really think this.
It is a little sad, yeah.
This whole little area right here, is
especially when you find
sad.
out why Hank's doing all this. He goes, Texas, the next training campsite of the Dallas Cowboys.
I just don't understand what his obsession is with having the Cowboys be in his town.
It's about keeping Bobby there. That's all it is.
It's all about keeping Bobby.
It is.
I got you. I see it now. I understand why.
He says he now takes now we see him with the camera at the football field. He sets the camera up in the stands and then goes way the hell down onto the field. You can barely see Hank. He's a little tiny down there, and he's shouting, I'm standing at the 50-yard line of Tut-Rampy Field, the future site of the Dallas Cowboys training camp. And then we kind of transition to where we're watching the same thing, but we're watching it on a TV or a monitor. And the guy who is an editor, we find out, Dave, in the studio, he says, you see, you're just a dot at this distance. And Hank says the same thing that is said to us on a daily basis. Yeah, so just edit it bigger.
Edit it bigger, yeah. So yeah,
okay,
he's just,
sure.
and you got to think this isn't even in a time frame where you have Lightroom or Photoshop.
Well, you couldn't.
You had all these things, but there was no way that you were
weren't
going to
shooting in
enhance
4K
images.
on one of those things.
No, you weren't enhancing images
or
nothing like that. No.
He goes, that's why I'm here. He goes, Hank, I'm the best UHF editor in Texas, but I can't work miracles.
Jesus.
You got no master shot. You cross the action axes, and the sound's horrible. Hank says, yeah, I guess it was my responsibility as president. And okay, whatever, Hank. Now, the next scene is Hank is sitting under, again, that kind of heavenly light just on his couch.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
And he says, all I ever wanted to do was get my son to love this town as much as I do. Where'd I go wrong, Tom? Where? And he's holding a Tom Landry commemorative plate that says America's Coach,
yeah, this
Tom
is
Landry.
an unhinged scene.
It is. For him, it's very unhinged.
It shows
yeah.
you that Hank himself, too, is a bit out of there.
Peggy and Bobby are in the next room kind of watching him, and he looks at Peggy and goes, Dad's talking to the Tom Landry plate again. This clicks in Peggy's head. She knows that what is going on with the rest of them is wrong, and Hank's just trying to do this thing keep Bobby there. And she completely knows. I did look up Tom Landry commemorative plates, and there's
a few.
There's so many damn ones of those things. I couldn't even focus on
They do exist, though. They do exist. There's definitely multiple. If you were to want a commemorative plate, you definitely could find one for Tom Landry on the internet. My friend's mom actually used to collect plates.
Yeah.
She would collect all kinds of weird commemorative plates.
Plates, spoons.
Nah, just plates.
Used to be little like statues, all kinds of stuff. Boy, you'd see those on TV all the time.
Yeah.
Next scene is we got Peggy in her office for some reason with a green baseball hat on. She goes,
I didn't understand that one.
Yeah, she's on the phone. She goes, hello, Nancy, it's Peggy, and I would like to apologize to you, one Arlenite to another one, which is really a big move on Peggy's part because she's using the term she came up with.
I don't think she has a choice at this point because It is what it is.
Not if she's going to do what she wants to do.
Come on, Mike. If the news company is using
that's
the
true,
terminology Arlenite, then that's
what you got to use.
Probably what it is.
It's the approved nomenclature of Channel 84.
Yeah, well, it's probably the approved nomenclature of Arlen, too. Arlenites.
So she says, hello, Nancy, it's Peggy, and I'd like to apologize to you, one Arlenite to another. No. I was the one who said Arlenian. That's why this is an apology. All right. Look. Let's just agree to disagree. Now I'm going to need to borrow your home movies. Next scene, we're at the Channel 84 station. We're with Dave, the UHF editor, and she goes, Dave, I hear you're the best television editor in all of Texas. He goes, UHF. Do you know
the difference?
The difference between UHF and VHF?
Ultra high frequency and very high frequency.
Right.
So UHF was a high frequency TV, right?
Yeah. We have one TV station here in town, Channel 25. It's an ABC affiliate. When they came to town, you could only get them on UHF. And so it's the Fox channel. When the Fox channel came to town, they were only UHF. And I remember you could go to the 7-Eleven and buy a little UHF rabbit ear thing to stick on your TV because
cool.
it was all sponsored by Channel 44 as it came through. You know,
that was cool.
That was when Fox was only on like 3 hours a night. So they would show The Simpsons and they'd show something else, America's Most Wanted or whatever, and then they'd go off the air. They were only on for like 3 hours a night.
Yeah. Shout out to Bobby Wasabi.
Bobby Wasabi. You hurt my nose holes. So she says, I gotta borrow your home movie. She goes and sees Dave at the Channel 84 studios talking about editing. We're back at the Hill House. Peggy has called everybody for a family meeting. And when I say everybody, I'm talking Bill and Dale and Boomhauer.
Yeah,
and
the whole
everybody.
gang.
Nancy, everybody. The only person who's not there, as far as I can tell, is John Redcorn and Joseph. I don't know what Joseph's doing right now, but
yeah, I don't know either.
So Peggy says the reason I've called you all here is to show you a video which we will be submitting to the Dallas Cowboys tomorrow morning. It was made over the years by each and every one of us. She puts the tape in, and then you see. The first thing you see is Hank and Peggy's wedding. You see Bill run in and starts eating cake by the handful. He goes, and that was after having 2 chickens. He starts laughing. He goes, boy,
2 whole chickens.
He goes, boy, I was drunk.
I was more surprised by the fact that the man had eaten 2 entire
chickens. Next scene you see is Bobby wandering around in the backyard, bare ass naked as a baby. With Lady Bird, he's kind of toddling around, and Bobby says, "Look how smooth my bottom was," and Hank goes, "Bobby."
Yeah, I don't know why does he do that. I don't understand why he bugs
any
him so
sort of
much.
impropriety. I mean, you know how he is.
I guess so.
The next thing you see is we see Hank with a giant grill full of meat. I mean, this thing is huge.
Yeah, it's a big grill.
Yeah, and he
like
goes,
custom.
Yeah,
it doesn't look like one that you would just buy at a store.
No, because he says, I made that barbecue out of 2 old barbecues.
Which, if you're in Texas, you probably know somebody that has a homemade trailer.
Oh yeah,
it's like a homemade. Like they have the trailer.
I could show you 2 of them in my neighborhood today.
Oh, I could take you to a few myself. Yeah.
So the next one we see, I think before this, we saw Hank water skiing at the end of a boat, and he crashes and wipes out. Everybody laughs.
Yeah.
Then we see Dale with his legs behind his head on the floor, inching around on his ass, which is an odd one.
Kind of like a dog scratching his butt.
Yeah. Then we see footage of Dale and Nancy and baby Joseph in the hospital.
Which is,
everybody's like, "Oh,
yeah," which is.
I get it.
Yeah.
We see Bobby and Joseph dressed as bugs I guess it's bugs in a Christmas play. Bobby falls off the stage. We see all 4 of the guys, and this is a cool callback. You see all 4 of the guys on Khan's couch when it was left out in the alley with the awning over it.
Yep.
And then at the bottom it comes up and it says, Arlen, where super people make super bowls. Which that's a great Peggy did a fine job. That's a good slogan.
No, that was a really good video.
Yeah.
And it's more, I don't know, I don't think it would appeal to any football team.
No.
But it's a real sweet exposition of the family and everything, the whole community.
Next thing you get is Dale going, "We're going to get the Cowboys." So the same thing he did when they first shot their stuff. Next scene we see is Hank sitting on the front steps of the Hill House. He looks a little downtrodden. He's sitting right next to the mailbox, those kind of mailboxes that are on the wall, not at the street. And Bobby comes riding up on his bike, and he goes, "Hey, Dad." He says, "Hello, Bobby. Well, Cowboys thanked us for the video, but they have no plans to move to Arlen in the near future, and they sent us this little rubber football. Do you remember the little rubber footballs?
Yeah, I do. Actually, Bobby Wasabi here in our Instagram chat says that if you look at the grill and pay attention to it a little bit,
Yeah.
it's not a propane grill. It's a charcoal grill.
It is
big, huge grill.
full of meat.
Yeah.
It is full of meat.
And apparently, Bobby Wasabi said it's also full of charcoal.
I don't. Yeah. Well, that's our Zapruder film.
That's
That little
that little 2 seconds of Hank. Yeah.
Hank
Is
with a
that
charcoal grill.
or is that propane?
Down
We
and
can't
to the
tell.
left with the charcoal.
On the grassy knoll.
Hank says, "So I guess that means you're gonna leave us when you grow up, huh?" Bobby says, "Well, yeah, I'll probably leave, but it's not for a while."
I like
Dad.
how he says, "Yeah, well, yeah,
Well,
I'm
yeah, of
gonna
course.
probably leave."
He goes, "I'm only 12. We still got plenty of time together." He goes, "Yeah, and even after you move to Wichita Falls, it's only a 6-hour drive. 6 hours." Only a 6-hour drive. He goes, well,
only a 6-hour drive.
Bobby says, I can't be a prop comic in Wichita Falls. I'm moving to New York City or Hollywood, maybe Vegas. That last one gets Hank. He goes, ugh.
Yeah, maybe Vegas.
He goes, well, at least it's not Wichita Falls. And the way he says it is Wichita Falls. Wichita Falls.
Wichita Falls.
Bobby says, well, I may keep a place there for tax purposes. Hey, you want to try out the little football? And, of course, Hank, says, all right. Hike it to me and go out for a pass. And I like this, that Bobby goes, how about you hike the ball and go out for the pass? And so he does. He hikes the ball to Bobby, this little rubber football, and he goes, the crowd is going wild. Roger Staubach goes back to pass. Hank runs a little route. He's just waiting and waiting and waiting.
Yeah, waiting for a month.
Bobby just keeps talking. He goes, Roger's in trouble. He scrambles. Roger the Dodger gets away. He throws into the end zone. It's complete to my dad, Hank Hill. Touchdown. The Cowboys win the Super Bowl. The Cowboys win the Super Bowl. And then we pan up, which it reminds me of the first episode. We pan up and we see all over Arlen, and it goes right to the Arlen water tower and just fades to black.
Fades
It's a very sweet ending.
That's a good ending, yeah. No, that's a really good episode.
Of a batshit episode.
Yeah, it's a crazy, crazy episode. Shout out to all the Josephs in chat, too. There's quite a few.
A lot of Josephs?
There's 2 guys in our chat that are actually named Joseph, so yeah.
So we get to the end, and during the credits, we hear that Cowboys theme song playing. Go, go, Dallas Cowboys. It's a go team, senior pros. Let the world hear our bugles blow up, stand. Anyway, you hear the whole stampede thing, the whole thing, and then at the very end, after the credits, you hear Hank come in and say, sweet Jethro Pugh. And that's the way this one ends. Fantastic episode. Weird, but fantastic. Never want to see a monkey sticking their finger in any character's nose again, though.
There we go.
That's enough of that.
I don't want to see that. Yeah, that's enough of that stuff.
All right. You want to remind them one more time where they can find us?
Yeah, y'all can find us at BWAAKOTH. That's 3 A's, BWAAKOTH at Linktree. That's linktr. No, linktr.ee/BWAAAKOTH. And that's all of our links that you can find there.
Also, if you want to find other podcasts or things that we're starting, you can go to roguemedianetwork.com and see all of the stuff that we've been doing. I want to say yesterday we debuted basically 3 shows. Producer Mason's show, Bibliophobia, dropped their trailer last week, and then yesterday dropped the first episode for Stephen King's The Mist. I got it right this time. And then we also dropped the trailers for 2 other shows, Purpose-Driven Sobriety, starring Christine Cohen. She is dedicated to that stuff and is a champion of these folks and has just been doing a great job of getting guests. And then we are reviving an old RSS feed. So we used to have a show here on the network called By the Cover.
By the Cover.
And it was two folks that basically they did the show about book reviews that are left on Amazon, right? And so they would kind of make fun of the reviews and stuff. And then they would talk about the book also. But they had to leave town, it's probably been 2 years ago. But they put out almost 100 episodes and stuff, and it was a fairly successful show. We did pretty well.
What's the name of that again?
And stuff. It was called By the Cover.
By the Cover.
This feed has been, and the show has been revived by 2 lovely ladies here in town, Brittany and Blair. By the Cover now exists as a podcast for book lovers, and I got to tell you, these 2 women are driven to bring you the best book reviews they can. This
Actually,
is their first podcast they've ever done, and it's fantastic.
I went and looked and saw some of their back catalog that they had.
They are doing a wonderful job.
So this is a relaunching, like a reinvigoration.
It's a reinvigoration. We're still using the same RSS feed so that maybe some of the folks that were there for the original show can come over. Plus, I just think it's good business to reuse those. Yesterday, we also dropped a new Jennifer Love Hewitt Please Be on Our Show podcast. This one is called Grandma's Love Ghost Whisperer. So we finally did another Ghost Whisperer episode. Can't say that I did much other than react, but there is that. If you guys would go check out Jennifer Love Hewitt Please Be on Our Show, I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, we would appreciate that.
Because the whole point of that show is to get Jennifer Love Hewitt to call into the show.
To call into the show, so.
I'm just a shill for the phone company.
Have you tried her direct information? That
I haven't done any of that yet, no. But surprisingly, the show does great in Brazil. So just letting you know.
Yeah, it does really.
I don't know
really
what
good
the
in
ties are to Brazil.
I'm not sure either, but yeah,
Brazilians love us.
The Brazilians love us.
So thank you again for everybody for joining us, and we will see you on Friday.
Wimitanya.
Wimitanya, indeed.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.